All right, family, peace and black power. You already know what it is. It's another after party. We just had the debate go down. Lucky versus Taz. They debated whether or not should they be a 3-year minimum to enter the NBA, right? After college. That was, I believe that's what the title. It was a long title. I think I just said it right, but yeah. But that was the topic for the most part. Um, the topic I'm kind of passionate about. I've actually had these discussions since I was balling. That was a long time ago when I was balling, and but this is always a topic, right? This is always a topic amongst sports people. Um, really interesting topic. I was a little bit surprised it wasn't a little bit more history. I guess because they only had like 10-minute premises and everything else, but there was a lot of meat left on that bone. Pause. When I was listening to this, because again, me just understanding the topic and researching this stuff at nauseum, and and understanding the history of the game and how all this shit kind of formed and everything else. Like it was a lot left out there. I was a little bit surprised there was so much out there. Like, they really didn't discuss hardship too much, right? Like, like people that don't know, like, this whole thing's been a thing since the '60s, right? Like, there was a motherfucker in the '60s. I might go ahead and give a little bit of skinny. There was a motherfucker in the '60s, Reggie Harden, motherfucker named Reggie Harden. Motherfucker got drafted by the Detroit Pistons in '62. He got drafted by Detroit Pistons in '62, fresh out of high school, right? Now, the league at the time, I don't think the league had any rules put in place um for this. So after it happened, they felt uneasy with it, so they put a rule in place that made it to where he couldn't play on the NBA floor, or whatever the case may be, until 4 years after college, or whatever the case may be. So they wouldn't let him play even though he got drafted, right? And then you had the whole Spencer, and then that wasn't even a thing for a while, right? And then the ABA came into play. The ABA came into existence, and when did the ABA come into existence? I think it was '67. The ABA came into existence, and when the ABA came into existence, that kind of changed the game, right? Because then the NBA wasn't able to. I shouldn't even went into this yet. I should have went into this, but I'll get to that in a second. Uh, the ABA put pressure on the NBA because in 1971, a dude by the name of Spencer Haywood had challenged the system, right? And he claimed he should be able to go into the NBA as an undergrad, based off of hardship, right? And this shit went all the way to the Supreme Court, right? And it got settled in 1971. Now after this shit got settled, of course, the NBA wasn't too crazy about it, so they didn't really, they didn't really do anything at the time as far as like high school players, right? Now, mind you, we talking high school. Now, undergrads started coming in after '71. They did start having undergrads come in, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, shit like that, but no high schoolers, right? Same thing with the ABA, right? Now, in '74, shit changed, right? Because '74, you had the first high school player that got drafted that actually played on the NBA, on a professional basketball floor, and that would be Moses Malone, right? '74, Moses Malone got drafted. Was it 70? Yeah, it was '74, I believe. He got drafted, and he got drafted on the ABA team though. He got drafted on the ABA team, so they still wasn't no NBA team that had a high school player until the following year, which would be '75. And Daryl Dawkins was the first NBA player to get drafted out of high school, right? And that was in '75. Him and Bill Willoughby, right? Both got drafted the same year. Daryl Dawkins went number 5. Willoughby went like later on in the first round, like 20 or some shit like that. It was late in the first. right? So boom, then you had 2 high school players. They went from 0 high school players drafted to 2 in 1 year, right? In 75. That was the counteract what the ABA was doing, because the ABA said, fuck this, we're gonna take these high schoolers because we in competition with the ABA, we gotta get them first. So they said, fuck it, we just gonna draft them straight out of high school. And the ABA had to match that energy because they couldn't afford to lose talent to the ABA, because at the time the ABA was, well, they were struggling, but the NBA was trying to cut them off by the feet. They didn't want them to pick up any momentum. And if they start getting all the talent, people are gonna start watching them, and then they're gonna forget about the NBA. So they was panicking about that. That's where you had all these salary wars going on, and like I said, following suit, drafted people straight out of high school. But it was only 1 year, because in '75, after that, you didn't have nobody play in the NBA that didn't play on a college floor at all until, what is that, 88, 89, when Sean Kemp came into the league. And oddly enough, Sean Kemp wasn't drafted straight out of high school. Sean Kemp was he was an All-American in high school. He played in McDonald's. I actually saw that McDonald's game. Motherfucker dunked from 2 hands from damn near the foul line or some shit. That shit was crazy. He had like the play of the game in the McDonald's. I think he signed with Kentucky. Don't quote me. I think he had initially signed with Kentucky, and he had some issues and everything else. I think he couldn't pass the SATs or some shit. It was some crazy shit or whatever. But he never played. He didn't play his freshman year, and then he just said fuck college altogether, and then went straight to the NBA without playing 1 college game. And that was the first time that happened since '75, when Darryl Dawkins and Willoughby came into the league. Now, then it was another layoff. You didn't see too much until '95, when Kevin Garnett came into the motherfucking league. When Kevin Garnett, he was the first one. He was the first high schooler to come into the league in 20 years, right? Because first was '75. It didn't happen again until '95, right? So that was a 20-year gap from drafting people fresh out of high school in the NBA, right? 20-year gap. And then that happened. That was controversial at the time when it happened. I remember that was the first time that I could remember a motherfucker ever getting drafted straight out of high school in my lifetime, watching basketball and all that shit. I remember that was a huge deal. And then that opened up the floodgates. The following year, you had Kobe. He was the next high schooler that got drafted, right? Then you had let's see. Then you had a whole slew of motherfuckers coming after that. Some hit, some miss. Before, but I can get deep into the debate. Before I do, let me not hold y'all up, and let me give y'all the scores. I got the final scores. I do got one judges round who will be Angel. I might go ahead and put it. I got Angel's scores for her rounds, but I don't have Brendan's. Brendan was the other judge. Let me just get this out here before I continue talking and running my mouth, because I talk about this for hours. Brendan had Taz winning 42-39, right? That's what Brendan had. Angel had Taz winning 43-40, right? So that would make the final scores, I believe it's 84-80, 79, 84-79, I think. Let me double check. Yeah. No. 85-79. 85-79. That's the final scores. Taz won. And so family. So like I was saying, so let's see, what was that? 96. So so a whole slew of high school players came into the league. I remember one of the big years that happened was 2000 and shit. What was that? I want to say 2004. No, 2004 was LeBron. That was a big year too. But there was I think it was 2000. I think it was like the year after, or the year after that. Was it 2006? I think it was the last year they drafted high school players. The last year they drafted high school, they drafted no lie. It was the year J.R. Smith got drafted, because he was fresh out of high school. He's from North. He played out here and shit. J.R. Smith was balling out here. He was all state, everything else, and he got drafted fresh out of high school. And it was him. Sean Livingston got drafted that year. It was J.R. Smith, Sean Livingston. I remember them two was drafted the same year, and it was like 6 other motherfuckers. Was it what's my man name from the Clippers that used to always bang his head and everything? Miles something Miles. I know y'all gonna tell me in the chat. It's slipping my mind right now. He's always banging his head or whatever. Darius Miles. I think he got drafted that year too. But yeah. You know, so I think that was the last year they drafted high schoolers and everything else. So, you know, people started complaining. Kwame Brown kind of killed all that. Kwame Brown was a hot mess. Kwame Brown was a whole shit show. God damn. What? I just got like 3 notifications back to back. Okay, my bad. All right, okay. All right, Brendan. I got you. So damn, what was I just saying? I forgot what I was just saying. Shit. I gotta stop smoking weed, family. I remember talking about Darius Miles and everything else. I was going somewhere with that. All right, well, you know what? Let me just get to the to what my initial point, right? Lucky left. Lucky was at a disadvantage because this wasn't just about high schoolers, right? It wasn't just about high schoolers. It was about people that did less than 3 years in college, right? Because he felt like they should do 3 years or better, right? You shouldn't get drafted before your junior year, right? Kind of like how college football is, right? And but that left a lot out there because you're not just talking about high schoolers. Now you're talking about freshmen. You're talking about all the one and dones, right? You got to get into the one and done era now, right? That's when you get into all the one and done era. You talk about all of them, and you had one and dones before the one and done era, right? Because the one and done era came after they banned high school players from getting drafted, and then you had the one and done era. But you had one and dones before that, right? And then you had you also got all the sophomores. Oh, there's a lot of sophomores you could play around with, right? And so you know, like it was a lot there. Then and Taz brought up the international players. You also got them, right? These motherfuckers coming in, you know, like he mentioned, they was pros like 16, 18. They always getting drafted below the age of 20. At 20, some of them. They definitely was getting drafted without below the drinking age, right? So he had a lot to play with. So you know, like I was saying, you know, like it's a topic I'm passionate about. Like I said, I can talk about this shit forever. But yeah, let me get ready to drop this link so I can get this out here. I ain't gonna hold y'all up too much more. Matter of fact, no, wait. Let me give the round scores. Let me get the scores for the rounds. Brendan gave Taz a 7 for his opening. Oh no, my bad. He gave Lucky a 7 for his opening, and Taz an 8 for his opening. He gave Lucky an 8 for his premise and an 8 for Taz premise. Lucky got an 8 for his rebuttal, and Taz got a 9 for his rebuttal. Let's see. Lucky got an 8 for his rapid fire. Taz got an 8 for his rapid fire. Closing, Lucky got an 8. Taz got a 9. That's how Brendan saw it, and he had Taz winning 42-39. Let me get the Angels real quick. Angel had let's see, for the opening, Angel gave Lucky a 7 and gave Taz a 9. For the premise round, let's see, my bad. I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. For the premise round, she gave Lucky a 9 and she gave Taz an 8. For the rebuttal round, she gave Lucky a 9 and Taz a 9. Let's see, the rapid fire, she gave Lucky an 8 and Taz a 9. And then on the closing, she gave Lucky a 7 and Taz an 8. So total scores for Angel, she gave, was Lucky had 40 and Taz had 43. All right. So that's how the rounds was broke down. That's the final scores. I'm getting a link out here. Y'all come up here, argue everything. We can talk about this. Like I said, I actually have an opinion about this, so we can talk. We can talk. Like I understand both sides of the argument. Full transparency, I do lean more towards Taz's side of the argument on this. I've always been somebody who despises the NCAA. I'm very anti NCAA rules. I feel like NCAA rules is very, very suppressive, right? They suppress athletes, movements. They got them under these amateur sports rules while conducting their business as a professional sports league. I got issues with that, So yeah, but I also get the argument about on an individual level, it'll probably be best for these players to educate themselves. Now, I would argue, right? Did I pin this? Let me make sure I pinned this. Okay, yeah. Now, I would argue that even though they get these NIL deals and everything else, I like case in point, right? Like I got personal experience with some of this because I actually know people that's been in the league. So I got some insider knowledge on some of this and everything else. And I know even more players that motherfucking played in college, right? Now, I get the whole, the financial literacy argument, how a lot of these players go broke and shit like that and everything else. I would argue that seniors that graduate from college also go broke after they done playing basketball. I've seen people go broke after playing basketball who did all 4 years of college, right? They did all 4 years, went broke. It just wasn't as big of a story because these 4-year players were not the best players in the league, so to speak, right? Like these were not like all-stars, right? And, it's real easy to highlight the all-stars who went broke. And that's usually what you hear, the Antoine Walkers of the world, the Kenny Andersons, and, shit like, those horror stories, right? But the reason why these stories are so well known is because they actually were solid players in the league, right? They was actually solid players. That's why them going broke actually was a story. Like, how the fuck could Antoine Walker go broke when he signed a $100 million deal, right? But they don't give $100 million deals to garbage motherfuckers, right? So he obviously did enough to earn that deal, right? Now, you also got because you got situations. I mentioned this, right? Sean Livingston. Let's take Sean Livingston, for example. Sean Livingston came straight out of high school, right? Now, there was no NIL deals back then, right? So, he came straight out. I forgot where he was supposed to go, where he committed to before he decided to go straight to the league. But if he would have went to college and suffered that same injury he suffered in the pros, he probably don't even make the motherfucking NBA. He probably don't even get drafted. If he does, he's getting drafted very low in the second round, and probably not signing a bigger deal than he ended up signing. True, he got hurt, and that's the only reason why his career was a little bit more lackluster than it should have been, is because of injuries. But if he got injured in college, he got nothing. But he did get injured in the pros, and those pro contracts are guaranteed, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, another case in point. How much money would Greg Oden have if Greg Oden had to stay in college for 4 years? How much money would Greg Oden have made if he had to stay in college for 4 years? Right? Now, to the people out here that watch the NBA and been watching for a while, y'all know exactly who Greg Oden is and what his story is. And if he had to stay 4 years in college, that motherfucker would be broke. He would be broke, right? He would. His body would have broke down his junior year. By the time his junior year came around, his body would have broke down, and nobody would have drafted him, and he'd have been fucked. He came out after he was one and done. Came out, right, was the number one pick over Kevin Durant of all things, the number one pick, and signed a max rookie deal. And it made more money there in that rookie deal than he ever would have made if he stayed in fucking college. He would have never saw the money he did make. He ain't make as much money as he should have probably made if, he'd have paid out. But that was due to injuries, right? That wasn't due to anything other than that, right? It wasn't due to, he had the ability to be a solid player, but couldn't stay healthy. Body broke down. Had one leg longer than the other. It was wild. But again, that one leg longer than the other would have fucked him over in college. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just saying. So, like, I see the benefits that people talk about in kids staying in school, and it's nothing stopping motherfuckers from actually still edifying themselves after they go to the NBA. That's a personal choice they have to make. A bunch of people, like Taz mentioned Steph Curry, there's a bunch of other people that went back to school and graduated after they already was in the league, right? You hear these stories all the time. I know I did, right? But yeah, there's a lot of players that for him to play around with. Pause. With this whole thing, I didn't hear Chris Webber's name mentioned once. Nobody mentioned Chris Webber. Chris Webber only played 2 years. He was the best out the Fab Five. He was the best out the Fab Five. Made the most money out the Fab Five. Right? Played 2 years in college. 2. Right? So, yeah, like I said, though, I get the argument. I get the arguments, but yeah, I always lean to more on the I'm cool with them bringing back drafting high school players. That's just me. That's just me. I'm cool with that though. Because if you're talking about drafting high school players, I know that one year they went ape shit. Like I said, that was the Sean Livingston year and the J.R. Smith and all that. I don't think that was LeBron's year. I think that was 2006. I gotta go check. I gotta Google it real quick. But that was the last year they drafted high school players. But for the most part, when they drafted high school players, besides that one year, they really was only taking like the best motherfucker, right? Like they'll take like motherfuckers who like is hands down gonna be like NBA caliber by the time they're a junior and shit, right? Like they predicting this, right? Like LeBron, right? LeBron was the chosen one since he was fucking in high school. Like they saw he was going to be an NBA player, so they didn't want to wait for him. Kobe, same thing. Kevin Durant. Kevin Garnett. Garnett. Why I say Garnett? Kevin Garnett and Kevin Durant would have been straight out of high school if that rule was still in place. Only reason he didn't come straight out of high school is because the rule was in place. I think the rule had just, that might have been 04 because Kevin Durant freshman year was 06, right? 06 was the freshman year. I was still in Texas when that motherfucker came there. I remember all them Austin motherfuckers going crazy when Kevin Durant got down there. Like, yo, our basketball team gonna be good this year, man. We got this new kid named Kevin Durant. He a baller. He this, that, and third, everything else. It was amped on that motherfucker. But he would have went straight to high school. But yeah, so it was only like the top of the top that really was getting drafted straight out of high school. And but you're gonna have some busts there because you do got the Kwame Browns of the world and all that shit. That was a nightmare. But that was bad. I can't defend Kwame. But my bad. I got the debaters up here. I've been talking long enough. I was just talking till people came up here. What's going on, fellas? Y'all there? Lucky on mute. Taz on mute. I can't hear you, Lucky.
What up, though?
What's good, Chaz? What's going on?
Shit, a little drained after that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little drained after that one. That was good shit, though.
Yeah, man, I understand both sides of the argument. Like I said, The other side of the argument would argue that like let them go on for 3 years to see if they NBA ready and everything else, because people miss sometimes. They think a motherfucker NBA ready at high school and he end up being Kwame. I would argue there was more. I could argue there was more hits than misses though with the high school kids. I can argue there was more hits than misses, and the hits were like the hits were so big that the misses seemed minuscule.
Yeah.
Salute, y'all.
What's good, Bobby?
Peace, Bobby.
What up, SYKOPATHeist? Luck, what's good with it? Great debate. I was in and out on it, so I didn't catch it in its entirety. So, but what I did catch, you know what I'm saying? Salute, y'all. Definitely put up some good arguments, even though I was biased to the side of Taz's point. You know what I'm saying? Or to let him leave early. I did understand the arguments that was being made. Yeah, great debate.
Yeah, I didn't actually expect the argumentation to be so good for that argument, though. I actually thought that would be a easy one to walk down. You know what I'm saying? But no, he fought that motherfucker all the way through.
Did you bring up, because I was in and out, did you bring up any like the racial aspects just pertaining to other sports in America? Or
No.
Okay. Y'all just strictly on the NBA.
Strictly basketball, strictly NBA, NCAA.
Yeah, it wasn't no ABA talk. I was surprised nobody brought up the ABA.
I thought it was go
too far because just right quick. I didn't want to go back too far because I needed a cutoff point that gives me the benefit of the players of today. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't want to hover around the older players because I think that works to his benefit.
Well, unless you were talking about the reasoning for players, because I didn't hear a lot of people talk about like the reason why that even was a thing and everything else, like because the hardship rules.
See, I was going to go into it. That was what I mentioned, the antitrust laws, right? Yeah. But there wasn't like I said, I just felt like that might have been the wrong direction, so I didn't go far into it. But that was literally where I was supposed to go, is with the Moses Malone and why that happened. Yeah, I just went on ahead and skipped forward. I just kind of skipped into it.
Yeah, the Spencer Haywood shit with that whole court case, the Supreme Court shit. Yeah,
that's what it was. Spencer Haywood case in 71.
Yeah.
Now, my only thing with it, and this is just my opinion on the debate. Again, y'all put on a good debate. But anytime I hear this topic get brought up or this argument, I never really go to them actually being ready for the sport. I go straight to the financial implications. You know what I'm saying? Because whether they're like, you're never gonna know nobody's ready unless they actually get there. You feel me, Psycho? And I think it's more detrimental to stick around and see if you're ready, because what if you're not, and then you miss out on the bag? You feel what I'm saying? Like, shit.
Yeah.
I would rather be not ready and go number one and get that bag versus have to stay 2 years and niggas actually see like, oh, he ain't worth the first pick. And I'm always on the player side when it comes to getting the money out of the niggas that's owners and shit like that. So
okay, it was the 04 draft. It was the 04 draft.
It was definitely 04 draft. I meant to say that too, because
the White
House was 03.
Yeah, it was the 04 draft, and that's when they went crazy with the high schools, and that was the last year they did it.
Yeah,
because Dwight Howard got picked number one. Yeah, Dwight Howard got picked number one. Who else went? Sean Livingston was number 4. Yeah, I remember he was there. See who else was there? J.R. Smith.
Josh Smith.
Robert Swift. Who else was there? Sebastian Telfair. What's called Al Jefferson.
Jefferson was out of he was out of high school, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, he was out of high school.
I know Al Harrington was out of high school. I think he might have been in that draft.
Dorrell White.
He came out of high school.
What you call it?
He went to the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, it was about 6 or 7 of them in the first round.
It was another Martell Webster. I think he went to the Trailblazers.
Yeah, Bobby, all them niggas was bust. That's what I was saying.
No, they weren't
That's what I
bust.
was. Man,
Not all of
Martell
them.
Webster, Sebastian Telfair,
No,
Martell
hold
Webster,
on, wait,
Andre
listen.
Blatch, all them is busts.
Hold on. Now listen to me, Lucky. If you're
All them is
arguing,
busts.
hold on, Lucky. I'm saying, and this, I'm not trying to rehash y'all debate. I'm just saying, if you just saying from the angle of being ready to play years in the NBA, then you could say they're a bust. I'm saying if they even made it to the NBA and got the bag, you not a bust. Like you've achieved the lifelong dream. Like most niggas that graduate high school go to work at like a factory or some shit. Like I
Yeah,
know
but that
niggas
wasn't
that
the conversation. The conversation was should niggas stay in school for 3 years versus going straight to
going
the
straight
league.
to the league, right? And you
Right.
saying
So
it, but I'm saying you're
so
staying in
nah.
school. But listen, Lucky, it's just like once Zuckerberg create Facebook, I'm not staying in Harvard. You feel what I'm saying? Once you could, because you're in school to get to the bag, basically. Once if
But
I
you're
can,
not
if
getting to the Cam Reddish ain't never get to the bag.
yes, the fuck he did. If I look up Cam Reddish net worth right now, he
I
not a
looked it up.
billionaire.
It's no. I mean he would have more if he got stayed in
No,
school with NIL.
I
He would have
yeah,
made more staying in school with NIL.
but
He's
I don't
seven.
think
He's
he.
worth $7 million or $5 million
But I
right
don't
now.
think he can. I think
Yeah.
when Cam Reddish now, but again, you're right about the NIL thing, but I think that's more of a newer, nuanced
Yeah, it's more
conversation.
nuanced.
He might have
Yeah.
missed that by like a year, bro. For real, like that's newer.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
think.
conversation though. The conversation is should it be the case, right? And we dealing with the current parameters. We're not dealing with some ancient prehistoric stuff. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and say
Hold
like I
on,
don't like
Lucky.
how
It
my
ain't
I don't like
ancient.
how my rounds got judged. Like every debate I done got a 7. Like for my opening, like I don't be like I feel like y'all too bourgeoisie over here for me, right? Like it's getting a little egregious for me. Like a nigga be putting together multiple presentations. Nigga be putting together hours worth of research to get 7s. Like that's bogus, right? So I need somebody. I need Serious B to come up here and tell me why I got a 7, bro. Straight up.
For what you're opening?
Yeah, why I'm getting 7s for openings and closings? That's crazy to me. When my openings and my closings is a consensus of my rounds, and niggas is talking about giving me 9s for the round. Like, come on, man.
I don't know if there's be around. Judges was off tonight, but as far as the after parties, I don't know if he's around. If he's listening, he can come up. Domo, what up?
I can tell you why I think you got a 7 in that opening, though. You started your opening off by pretty much debating your premise. You didn't really open. You know what I'm saying? I like I'm literally looking like, damn, this nigga ain't even open. That nigga just jumped straight to the data. Like, nigga, 1 minute in, you talking about Jimmy Butler and shit. I'm like, damn. So you didn't technically do an opening, but you know what I'm saying I let them. You know what I mean, but I'm just talking about from my end because I wrote that down at like what you were saying in your opening, but technically that should have been your premise round shit. But
Nah, what up? Good shit to y'all niggas. I definitely I can see how niggas could be frustrated by the scores. But I mean, but the reality, like when you say niggas like shit kind of bougie, it's like it's a high standard, bro. It's like that's all. Like you feel me? Like I think it's not supposed like it's not like even Ty said each round has a purpose. You know what I'm saying? You expect it, even if you can lose points for starting a rebuttal in your premise. You know what I mean? Like it's certain things that the judges expect, and all of us is still kind of figuring it out. Even though some of us been doing this shit longer than others, so it's kind of already got an idea. But it's like shit. I think I'm up here like, what the fuck? I like nigga get a 10 here, get an 8 here. That shit don't make no sense to me neither. But like that's kind of the activity though. You feel me? Like I've been doing debates since 2005. Yeah, I mean judge debate. And the one thing is like the a part of the activity is understanding who you in front of, what they value, what that's why like the whole judging the after the debate shit, listening to them, you know what I'm saying, listening to them explain this shit, like the whole purpose of that is so niggas could know, like, oh, this is how you see that. Like I may disagree with you seeing it like that, but I know as a judge that's how you see it. You know what I mean? Like it's little shit, like even like with Serious B, for example. See, like I like Serious B. One thing that I heard him say multiple times is he thinks niggas show more confidence if they do if they do an opening with no presentation. Just lay out what their argument gonna be. You know what I mean? Like those are the little things you pay attention to. Like even though I may disagree why they gave me an 8 or even shit why I didn't got a 7 this season. You know what I mean? Like I may disagree with that, but the a part of like the debater judge relationship is being like I may not disagree with the way that you the way that you look at it here. You know what I'm saying? But knowing that like niggas done won debates, niggas done lost debates. If I respect my wins, I gotta you know what I'm saying, I gotta respect my losses. So it's like shit. It's one of them things where it's like that when they break that shit down and when they say this is what I saw because this is what I'm looking for in this round. Shit, niggas got it's called like in policy debate. It's called judge adaptability. You know what I mean? Like you can literally go to websites and see where judges then put their paradigm. So at the beginning of a debate, nigga, we would look it up. Like, who is this judge? Oh, this is how they look at debate. This is how they see shit. All right, this is the type of arguments that work for them. These are the type that don't. And because we don't know who judging the debate till afterwards, we niggas just gotta be on their shit and know what judges is looking for. You know what I mean? Like I think the progress the scores may be on some bullshit, but I think you may feel like the scores is on some bullshit. But I feel like what I would say is like watching the progress with niggas like you and niggas like Courtney and shit, even niggas like Vino, like that niggas trying to work up to that standard is why niggas is like I say like your presentation, you definitely still got to get bigger text. You definitely still got to get bigger text. Cause like that shit's still hard to read in the motherfucker, but it was well put together, bro. Like it was, you know what I'm saying? The shit looked good, niggas sound good. You know what I mean? It's just now, it's fine tuning. Cause as long as niggas been doing this shit, nigga. Like I said, I didn't got a 7, I didn't got 8s, I didn't look this shit like, bro, what the fuck? Like, and I feel like I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like it ain't even no question.
But
You know what I'm
though, this is what
saying?
I'm gonna say, right?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, right? And I respect the loss. I ain't never saying that. I'm talking about the scope, right?
Nah, for sure, for sure,
You
for sure.
feel
We
me? The
talk about the
fact that
scope. Yeah.
Taz got an 85 and I got a 70, and I haven't got an 80 at all, right? And I feel
Yeah.
like either this debate or my debate against A9, I put up debates that was worthy of at least an 80. You know what I'm saying? So why am I getting
Yeah.
sevens on rounds? You know what I'm saying? I see what you saying. You feel like I'm getting into my round. I'm not getting into my round. That's why I had multiple. I set it up a point to do multiple presentations because I don't want them to overlap. So I'm like, you know what? Let me have a presentation for my first round and a presentation for the premise, so they don't look like I'm just going into the round. It was two completely different graphics that I was using for from the opening to the premise. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I
I
don't feel
think
like
what
I
he's
got
saying
into my
is
round.
I think he's saying is like it was definitely different presentations, but it was like the context of the information that you was presenting in the opening round. It serves a greater purpose, and because it's like they looking like the reason why the rounds is judged separately is because they looking for particular shit. Like one thing that niggas try to do, you know what I'm saying, with debating on YouTube is they try to you try to win the debate in the opening. You're not gonna win the debate in the opening. You know what I mean? So it's more so is in the opening, have you laid down the groundwork, the framework, right? Have you brought up the necessary terms? Have you told them the direction you're going? Have you let them know how they should evaluate the debate? That's the only thing that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like research and all that shit, none of that shit should be brought up in the opening. The only purpose of the opening is to lay down the groundwork that you're gonna build on in your premise. You feel me? So it's like it's one of it's though that's what the judges is looking for. They looking for like did you treat that round the way because it's a rubric like it's kind of like it's a rubric on the joint. I think that they put on there in terms of like what the judges are looking for specifically. So it's not that the information that you provided was the same as the premise, is that it didn't serve the purpose of the opening. It was better served in the premise. Like, to be honest, like somebody like Courtney, for example, what Courtney does is he does another opening at the beginning of his premise. Like the things that he is saying in the beginning of his premise could all have been said in the opening, and then by when you start the premise, you just get into the information. You build from there. You know what I mean? Now closing, I don't know. Like I still ain't figured out how niggas do. You know what I mean? Like, so some judges is like, yeah, you want a rebuttal in the closing. Other judges is like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like niggas is still figuring that shit out. But I think really with the frustration that you're seeing in your scores is just a question of how you treating each round. You know what I mean? That's why like your premise, because what you got, a 9 in your premise?
A 9 and an 8, I guess.
Yeah, so it's like the information is there. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just fine tuning the shit, bro. It's just, that's all. Like, so I definitely get your frustration though. Like, and let it, we've all been here.
I mean, you
Yeah, I
outscored
mean,
premise round though. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree, but shit, you outscored me in the premise. You know what I'm saying?
nah, bro. I had him up. I had him up one after the premise, bro. I had him up one. Not gonna
That's
lie to you.
crazy.
I had him up one. Cause like and what I say is what I felt like should have been a bigger element of the debate. Was the non-basketball shit. You feel me? Like the
Yeah,
like the
I seen he was gonna try to make that out of bounds, so I just touched on it, but I just tried to stick within the rubric because I didn't want to spend. We only had 10 minutes.
but you was the affirmative though, right?
Yeah. I'm an affirmative, but
He
I'm
don't
not.
get to set the bounds though. You set the nigga. If you say the reason why I'm taking this affirmative is because I think that there's a off the court element that is important that we should discuss, he can't tell you that's irrelevant to the topic. You the
No, I'm not
affirmative. You
talking
get to
about the
go
off. No, the
first.
off the. I brought the off the court. I'm talking about the fact that I didn't lean into the sport because I brought up the Jeremiah Smith, and then in his rebuttal, he was trying to rebuttal that I shouldn't be bringing up NFL players. So I did bring it up in my premise. It was just
Oh
I
no no
didn't
no no no.
hone
Yeah,
in
I
on
don't
it
think you
all the
should be
way.
talking about not the NFL players. I mean, when I say off the court shit, I'm talking about more so like the education aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like the mental development aspect, like the giving teenagers millions of dollars to way too soon aspect. You feel me? Like all of those, I think gave your argument a lot more weight than like the parody argument or the what was y'all niggas talking about? The like the amount of like the bus versus stars. Because I think he gonna win the bus versus stars argument. Like Psycho was saying, because the stars are the stars. You know what I'm saying? Like the stars are like these niggas Hall of Fame. Like that's why when you was like Dwight Howard was a bust, I was like,
The White House
bro,
was
this
the
nigga.
only. I mean, he was the only one where you yeah, all right, you can have that.
Yeah, you
But
was
everybody else, niggas just said Sebastian Telfair. That nigga's a fucking
nah.
bust.
No,
Like,
Sebastian
bro,
Telfair was a
like,
bust though.
do not like.
Sebastian
That's what I'm
Telfair was a
saying.
bust though.
Martell
Yeah,
No,
no
I,
doubt.
Webster.
I, I was just I was just reading off the list of the people from the 2004 draft, because that was the last draft I believe that high schools were taking. It was some garbage ones. It was some good ones.
Man, it was a
Cause,
lot of
cause,
garbage
Yeah,
ones.
cause I
Andre
think the
Blatch
lucky
was a part of
point.
that class, wasn't he?
yeah, but
Yeah,
what makes
cause I was gonna say the lucky point though. It is more bust than it. Like, yeah, it's quite a few stars. Them
No,
niggas became Hall of Famers
Niggas will
for
go to
sure.
the McDonald's All American game and then go to the draft and then be out the league in 3 years.
Yeah.
that's the average. That's three to
But
4
like
years.
y'all,
The
but
average
like
for
that's
every NBA
it's
player.
veteran. It's
All
4 year
right,
players
that's
like that too.
yeah. But I ain't disagreeing with you, Lucky. But when you just give the average NBA stat, that's whether if you come out of high school or just go 4 years of college, you
But niggas
score the
talking about
five.
earning potential though,
Oh,
Bobby.
wait. But
At
what
my,
I'm
at my,
saying, if you saying right now, this is what I'm saying. You having two different arguments, because if you having an argument based on today, but then you give Martell Webster's and all of that. I don't know what examples you gave, but I'm saying if you give any examples of players that came out of high school before then, which it ain't none, then the NIL shit is null and void. They coming out because they like like if unless I'm a nigga getting paid under the table, I need to get to the bag. It's all about your I could probably stay and get better earning potential, or I can stay and fuck up my earning potential.
But his argument was talking about what we should do moving
Right. The
forward. So
question
it's
ain't
like,
about. That's what I'm saying. I'm
yeah,
just showing
it
those
ain't
examples of
what them
players who
niggas did
it didn't
wrong.
work out. It's not about
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, if they would have got a bag. I'm just
It
making
worked
that point now. The point was that the
I
debate
agree.
was them niggas didn't work out when they came out the league.
I think
They should have
I agree
stayed
with
at the
that.
Nigga,
crib
Sebastian
and worked on
Telfair
their
just got
game.
out of jail.
But
That
I
worked
think
out.
though,
No, that's life
well,
sucking
Sebastian
ass though.
Telfair just got out
Hold
of jail.
on, wait.
And hold on,
If he
and
had
let
a
me say
fucked
this
up
real
life
quick.
though, Domo, what that got to do with
but
making it
that's
and
what I
getting
was.
millions of dollars? Hold on, listen, because Sebastian Telfair could have got a job working in New York City for the hold on, he could have got a good job and
Listen.
fucked
I
up.
don't need to
You
be
feel
like
me?
I was making a joke, nigga. It was
I
making a
know
joke,
my nigga,
nigga. I'm
but
not
come
making
on,
no
man.
claim about that nigga like that. No, that shit. I'm just saying, nigga. We talking about shit working out. But I gotta point this out though. This nigga Taz keeps using my shit in his debates. I'm not having it, bro. I'm not having it. Nobody else was listening to this nigga talking about international players, how they
Yeah,
developed.
I peeped that. And that's why I was wondering. I was getting ready to
You're a
ask,
goofy.
what was the
Nigga, nah,
specific
nigga, you a goofy,
title?
nigga. Fuck you, nigga.
Yeah,
This nigga
I
talk
wanted
about
to know
because look,
though.
they gotta worry about the international players because the international players are coming. They turning pro at 16. Yes, nigga, because they play at development systems. Nigga, get the fuck out of here, my nigga.
But
Like,
that's what I was going to ask though. Is like, what was the title of the debate?
this nigga blue.
Something that they didn't acknowledge and just let this nigga. That's why I don't even understand what he's talking about. The fucking debate was about the NBA rule and should it be a rule? I like that. No, nigga. I still don't understand because I don't feel like he argued the rule, what his rule would look like. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm more concerned about that part. It's like, damn, he didn't really argue a rule. He gave me a whole bunch of examples of niggas that didn't live up to expectations under the current rule, but he didn't show me what the rule should be.
Well, my
What that
rule was
three look
premised.
like.
It was backed around. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't baked into the title, but the conversation that we had, I said like the NFL. We can go back and watch the film. That's why I kept bringing up NFL players because I do feel like there is a correlation. That's why I brought up when you said antitrust, I brought up Maurice Claret because regardless of the type of physical nature of the sport and the fact that they different sports, it's the NCAA umbrella and it's all tied in. And I wanted to make the framework, hey, they need to be in 3 years like the NFL niggas. That's what I said.
See, I now
Go ahead, go ahead.
with that, okay. So when you say in 3 years, are you now? Is it tied directly to college,
3 years removed from high school.
just in general?
That's the rule. That's what I kept saying the whole debate. So maybe I should have did more trying to put certain things in the type in the title or whatever. But I felt like
No,
I
the
did
reason
that in
why
my
I asked that
argumentation.
because I'm just wondering, like, where you because it's kind of like you limited yourself a little bit to college. It was like if it was just in general 3 years removed from high school, I think that the European players should have kind of played a little bit of a role toward your favor.
So I mentioned overseas players. I mentioned Brandon Jennings and Emmanuel Mudiay as players who went overseas skipping college and should have went to college. Because to
Well,
me, they
well, the
should have stayed
players
in
in
America.
general.
That's what I said.
Well, I mean, no, you could have used players though that's been over there for three. You know what I mean? That's been over there and then developed.
No, I feel
Right.
you. Like I feel you. With
That's
when Taz brought up LaMelo, it was you know what I'm saying. It's only so many things you can rebut on that. You know what I'm saying? Like it is players who go over there and do what they supposed to do. Like you know what I'm saying. What I'm gonna say?
well,
Hell
no,
no,
nah,
that nigga ain't good. You know what I'm saying?
this what I'm saying. I think you kind of looking, but that's not the NBA though. That's a step. That's still like that's still a step below the NBA. I think you looking at it on as a like professional. But yeah, it's perfect. But that's not the NBA. The question is about the NBA. I felt like to me that's another avenue that falls into your 3 year plan that I think you kind of
I feel you, Blue. I see what you're
You see what
saying.
I'm
I see what
saying?
you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Because that's why I was wondering. I was like, damn, when he said that, I was like, oh, shit.
But
You
see, there
got
are no requirements on the international players, though.
I feel what you're
None.
saying.
That,
I could have found the like the Marios and the Jokers and the not the Jokers like but like the it's another nigga who went up like the Sabonises and shit like that.
right. They developed their game over there, took the time, and then came to the NBA. It's a different league. The
yeah, but
NBA not
That's
the
a
same.
lie. That's a
yeah, but
lie,
they
bro. Blue,
professional
they
though.
played professional and got paid though.
But they
Hey,
was
That
Luca,
still
stop. The NBA is
that's
just
not the
a higher
NBA,
profession.
bro.
Wait,
they was
wait,
out of high school though, Bobby.
You
I
could
looked.
go play pro and
I
make
Hold
mentioned
on.
that
No,
in the
no,
culture. They was out of high
I got
school at 16.
I got you, but they went. Listen, when you say the NBA, I understand that specific, but I'm just for all intents and purposes just relating it to a professional paid job. You dig what I'm saying?
Because at some point
So
you're
what?
talking about
'Cause that's
16
really
year old
that's what it
playing
all
with grown
boiled down to, right?
men. You're 16-year-old playing with grown men. That's professional.
Exactly. Right. You're a
Hey,
professional. Yeah, Luca was a professional. Giannis was a professional already before he came to the end. He went from one professional league to another professional league. Just like Sabonis
yeah,
played professionally in Russia for all them years and then went to the Portland Trail Blazers. He had to get drafted too.
How many years was he
In the
removed from
30s.
high school though, Bobby? That's the
Who?
conversation. How
No,
many years
no,
was Luca removed from high school before he made it to the NBA?
probably right around 3 or 4, something like that.
Most definitely over 3. Luke, by the time Luke came over this bitch, he was fat.
that's where y'all gonna it's
Luca
gonna
got
fuck it
drafted
up.
at 18, didn't he? 17,
They
18?
they you gotta think, bro.
19.
They graduation ain't
19?
on our
Okay.
schedule.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, when you
Or
say
and
three,
neither is they predict what you need to graduate is
hold on, when
Man,
you
them boy
say
graduated
hold on,
14
wait.
years old,
When you
man. He
say
been
he was
all
at least
day.
3 years removed from high school, but I'm saying that's your premise, and I understand it. I'm just disagreeing with it. I feel like at any time you could be a professional because even if you're using Luca and you forgetting the fact that he's at the professional level where he's at.
Yeah,
You
but
see
the
what I'm
rules
saying?
aint based off of you being a
No,
professional.
no,
Like you
hold on,
going
but listen to what
no,
I'm saying.
no, hold on. The
He's in
title.
the equivalent of the NBA where he's from.
No,
That's
that's
all I'm
not the
saying.
equivalent. No, sir.
Yes, it
Playing
is.
in Mexico
He's
is
getting
not no
That shit
equivalent
ain't
man.
to
nowhere
the
Hey,
close, Bobby.
NBA,
You got to
bro.
stop
Stop
that,
that.
Bobby.
come on, man.
That's
No,
not the NBA.
I'm saying
like that.
if you're
The
good enough to,
LEB Oro is not the NBA,
all right,
bro.
bro. I didn't say it. I
Can I be
said it's
heard?
the equivalent of the
Can I be
NBA where
heard?
he's from. Meaning, if you from where Luca from and you're good enough to get paid to play professionally, you're going to that
Yeah,
league.
real
Hey,
quick,
peace,
real quick.
y'all.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
let Angel get in there.
I'm sorry because I don't have a lot of time. I have to get up really early. Hey, Lucky, I'm up here. I heard you had some concerns. I can try to answer them. I don't have long though. I'm sorry. So, what were your concerns?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why come I keep getting sevens and in my opening round, or I can't crack the 80. I can't crack the 80. It seems like every debate I'm below 70, or it's even below that.
Okay. Let me just read what I had for your open. I put here that you said you'll show the greatest players. Um, and you said that went to school for 3 years or more from different eras. You said real talent does not skip college. You immediately started to go into Draymond Green, stayed 3 years and is excelling monetarily and with accolades. Then you compared him to peers from the same draft that did not excel the same way. You then went into comparing Steph Curry's success to Stanley Johnson and Cam Reddish, same year, but did not amount to what Steph did. My notes ended by saying you briefly framed your argument in the beginning and you spent the rest of your round showing comparisons. It did not feel like an open. So, what I mean by that is you're in a good position when you're the affirmative. You're the first speaker. You have the opportunity to shape your entire discussion. You know what I mean? You set the terms of victory. This is the opportunity where you're supposed to define what your argument is going to be. You're supposed to give an overview of what you're going to prove. You can challenge your opponent on what, how their argument is going to fall short based off of discussions that you had and based off of the premise that was sent. It's nothing wrong with making some comparisons, but you literally you framed your argument for the first minute and you immediately went into just a presentation. And the presentation was just full of comparing NBA players. It didn't frame the argument. And I think you just mentioned yourself that you did 2 presentations. Well, it's a reason it's called an open. It can't be a presentation. So a 7 was maybe even generous. Depends on how a person looks at it based off of our metric. Um, yes, with that being said, though, I had you winning 1 point against Taz in your presentation. I thought that the statistics and the overall argument was excellent. I gave you a 9. And that was because you didn't just compare players. You gave statistics, you gave good sources on the benefits of a college education. So that's why you got a 9 in that round. You also got a 9 in your rebuttal from me. You got an 8 in your rapid fire, but then unfortunately, your closing is always just like the open. You literally just went in and started scrolling through your presentation and start reiterating the comparisons between players. The key with me to get a high score in the closing, I heard Domo say that, some are still trying to figure it out. There's no secret with me. I've been saying for the longest how you get a high score in the closing. Your closing is going to reflect how well you knock out your opponent in your rapid fire. If you are able to get them to concede in a rapid fire or just clearly, excel, you should be able to then say in your closing what you were able to prove and how your opponent was not able to prove and not able to excel over you. That's how you get a good closing. But your closing felt like you really didn't have much to say on what you were able to prove. You initially did. Let me go ahead and read the notes that I had. Give me 1 second. Okay, so for your closing, I had, oops, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. I had Lucky close by reiterating his argument with examples of success from his presentation. He said he was able to win with data, showing examples of those that could have possibly benefited by learning financial literacy in school, avoiding bankruptcy. And then I just left it with you went into your premise even more. So the part where you said that you were able to win with data by showing examples, that is a good thing to say in the closing because I felt you did win with data. And I'm not saying that Taz didn't show data. I'm saying that your presentation was more centered around solid data, solid arguments on the benefits of it, as opposed to just showing players that did well. Not saying that you didn't show that, but you largely had a lot of good statistics and data. So yeah, it feels like that you're just scrolling through your presentation again. So for me, it seems to be a pattern. It's always the open and the closing for you. I don't get caught up in small font. The only time the font is going to affect me is if you are just not clear, if your argument is all over the place and I have no choice but to read the font along with you because I'm lost and then I can't read it. What has happened with you in the past is your presentation would be scattered. Like the font would be here, there. You would have to scroll and go back and forth to like line up your argument. That you clearly stopped doing. If you look at how your scores have been progressing, this is normally what happens with people that are new to our format. You started off with, I think, something like a 50 something. Now you're knocking at an 80. I wouldn't be discouraged. I would be proud of that. And trust, this is definitely not bourgeoisie. It's just that we have to have a format and a way to stick to it. Otherwise, the judging will be inconsistent and biased. This is the way we do it, making it a sport, awarding points if you do certain things. Argumentation is king, but you still have to frame your argument properly in every round. And your issue seems to be the open and the closing. Did that make sense? Did you have any other questions?
So I definitely understand. I mean, I understand your position, but I don't agree. I feel like my presentation and the opening were two completely, different entities. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like my closing round, I did synthesize what I got him to concede to, as well as the comparisons were a big part of my argument, right? I wanted to lean into the fact that the one and dones in the same draft class as the people who sat around and went to school 3 years did not have the illustrious careers as the counterparts, the Steph Currys and the Jimmy Butlers. So that was me reiterating that was was to first to draw home the conclusion that we don't make exceptions rules, and look at these great phenomenal players who got drafted in the same draft class with people who went before them who became nobodies. So the
Yeah.
comparisons were big parts of my argument. You
No,
see what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. And they were great. The thing is, you have to show discipline in when you're going to present that information. And discipline means you have to do that in your PowerPoint presentation round, not your open. Framing an argument does not mean immediately going into what your comparisons are. It's telling us that you're going to show comparisons and how your opponent won't be able to dispute it. That's what the open is. When you do what you did, and you're not the only debater that does it, it feels like you probably should have asked for 15 minutes to use that in your presentation. We need to fully understand your argument, because guess what happened? Taz came back with a bunch of comparisons that proved his point too. So it's a wash when you show comparisons and he shows comparisons. What is going to set you apart is how you frame the argument in the open, the extra work that you did with certain stats that I found impressive, and then what you do in your rebuttals and rapid fire. I would imagine that a lot of people looked at that with the rapid fires and some of the presentation stuff. It was like, yeah, this is great information on both sides that prove both of your points. So again, you have to be disciplined and avoid doing too much in your open that you should be reserving for your presentation round.
Yeah, your opening round, you just want to set up your framework. I mean, you just want to set up the foundation before you get to building the house. You know what I mean? You almost like laying down the blueprint.
So
This
that's
is where
what
I'm
I
gonna
thought I
put the
was doing though,
toilet.
bro. That's what I thought I
It
was
was
doing.
well,
Like
you kind of was
like
you
in the
was like,
premise, if I
well,
name 12 people, like I think I named like 21 or 23 people in my premise. But in the opener, I only named 5. So I thought that I was opening with 5 and saying, hey, I got more to offer in my premise. That's what I thought I did.
well, you didn't need to really even go into them. Like you didn't have to show any really comparisons. Like you let's say you could have showed like one, right? And then gave and a reason why. And I really wouldn't even have did that, but let's say you do show one. And then from there, the now you want to get into why this is important and why this is going to hurt the why why my whole debate is framed around this, why if he pulls up comparisons it doesn't compare, because you want it's two parts you want to use the opportunity to do. You need to use the opportunity to gain leverage and then also to protect yourself from when he comes up next.
And
So
I'll just briefly show you Taz is open, and of course I would encourage you to watch it. Taz got a 9 from me in his open, and this is why my notes say he said that he started off by saying it's not about individuals, but collective players that thrive with less than 3 years in college. So he's telling us right there what his argument is going to be, and he's removing himself from responsibility of like knowing you're about to show a bunch of individual successes. He then said options shall only be available to top prospects. He listed top prospects and he said he will show that they benefited from not waiting to go into the NBA. He also listed points of contention. I think it was 5 of them. One of them was they are adults legally able to earn money. They have the right to earn money, is what he said. He said earning potential decreases with age as they get older. And this is all him saying he's going to prove it. He didn't start showing the statistics on it and arguing it. He then said unions also support this. He said they are physically ready and the outcome benefits themselves in the NBA. That was his 5 points of contention. He laid it out. He didn't go into them. He just said, this is what I'm about to show you. Now, he did give some information, which is not wrong. He referenced 2018 one and done discussion. And then he asked, how will the NBA benefit U.S. players since the rule does not apply to international players? I didn't have to write anything else. It was a great open. He gave like 10 different frameworks that he was going to show. Do you see the comparison there? Lucky?
I mean, yeah. But like I said, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna agree to disagree. I ain't gonna crash. I ain't one of them, you know what I'm saying, unruly niggas. I'm just gonna chill. But I feel you. You know what I'm saying? I hear what Blue saying, I hear what you saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna move on to the next debate.
Well, it's not just about moving on. I want to make sure that you get like what we're asking, because I know it can be frustrating. Like when you said that a lot of work is put in, believe me, that doesn't go unnoticed. You know, that's why we do everything we can to be transparent, because we appreciate all the work putting in, and we value you as a debater. We think you're a great debater. So anytime we can answer questions that'll help, we're here. And I just want you to know, I would definitely go and look at opens and closes of some of the seasoned debaters, and hopefully something will click there. Because I get it, I get what you're saying, but just remember, you're saying to us that you did two different presentations, and depending on how you're defining the word presentation, that is going to cause you to lose points if you present too much in your open. So I hope that helped, Lucky.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna just put more info. I'm gonna just put less information in my premise, and I'm gonna just every debate gonna be 15 minutes for me. I'm just gonna talk a lot. That's just what's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
I get it.
Yeah. And one last thing before I drop down, I don't know for the life of me why Domo keeps dropping down when I hit the panel. Domo, 4 times now you have said that you were unfairly scored on a rebuttal round. I would love to address that. Every time I come up, you keep dropping down. And you must not hear me every time I address it. So the next time you're around, I will try to catch you, because I don't want anybody wondering and thinking that there's inconsistencies. I cannot wait to have that discussion with you about what happened in those two rebuttals. All right. So, anybody else have any questions? I'm about to get down. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Peace, y'all.
Night.
But yeah, I would say Lucky, on some real shit, you you gotta look at it like this, bro. You leaving maybe 6 or 7 points on the table with that opening and closing. You know what I'm saying? Between both judges type shit. And I'm just on some real shit. I didn't expect you to even have the premise round that you end up having, because your opening was off, bro. Like, you know what I mean, it just was. You know what I'm saying? You jumped into the information way too fast. I just thought it was gonna be an easy night. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, again, you put up a hell of a fight though, the rest of the debate. But that opening, nigga, I was not impressed. I really thought shit was gonna be sweet, nigga. I'm telling you, because that you know what I mean, you didn't even lay out what it was you was finna debate. You just jumped right into it. You coming with names, comparisons. I'm like, yeah, that's not an opening. You finna fuck this whole shit up. And then you came back and gave a 10 premise round. You know what I'm saying? So, like, bro, you right on the cusp of 85 yourself. Like, I'm saying, like, you tripping, bro. Like, don't assume like that, because coming from 50 to where you at today, bro, you finna face Domo, nigga. Like what I just saw you do tonight, you could beat that nigga, bro.
and if you kind of hear his opening, he kind of catered like once you did your opening, he made sure he set up a protection in his. Like, nah, we not talking about this. We not talking about that. This ain't about none of that. We gonna be talking about this, and that. And he closed it. That was the end of his opening round.
Yeah.
That's it.
Listen, I'm gonna tell the niggas in the chat. Listen, I ain't crying about nothing. Listen, cause we could set up a little offshoot debate, nigga. We could spank some. You see what I'm saying? We can set up a little exhibition match, a little rain bet match. You see what I'm saying?
They can find him popped up. Yeah, man. Nah, but I did though. Like, I see it. Like, they both of them is an opportunity to try to convince people. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of see it's just different. Like, to me, like when I said like working on like the foundation, to me, you handed everybody like the blueprint. You was like the toilet gonna be over here, and then you got to work. Like, you got to work on the bathtub immediately. It was like shit. Like you ain't tell me where the bathroom was gonna be at, you know what I mean? Where the bedroom gonna be, you know what I mean? Where the living room's supposed to lay out at. We just got to working on the bathrooms. So it's like make sure you set up the whole, you know what I mean? Like let everybody know what the parameters of the whole house is and why he finna be trapped. It ain't gonna be nowhere for him to go once I get going into my information.
Nah, I get it. To be honest, that's about the best I could synthesize from what y'all been saying. I need to have a smooth intro, a baby intro, and with a long ass premise. So that's how I'm
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, you
That's how I'm
gotta
gonna
have
do it
that
moving
premise
forward.
time,
Fuck
man.
it.
15 minutes for real.
15 minutes. That's how I'm moving forward.
I ain't doing
Yeah,
nothing
that's
less,
see, that's
bro.
that's why most of the time niggas asking for that. The only reason I really ducked at 15 because this ain't my topic. This your topic, and it's one you requested. So I felt like you most likely can cook on it. I ain't giving you 15 minutes.
Feel like he need that 15. That's I already know. When the playoffs start, I ain't agreeing to shit without 15 minutes before.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's
See,
the
now that
end of the
nigga being
title.
pooch. See, that nigga turned to pooch shiesty. But nah, I get what he's saying. Though. But nah,
Yeah.
it's all good, man. I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. What they do, serious B, man. I'm trying to figure out why I got a 7, man.
Yeah, I think some either the debaters kind of explained it. I think Angel kind of explained it as well. And let me kind of explain how it came across as a person that isn't very versed on sports in terms of how your opening sounded. Again, we talked about like there was extensive comparisons. You did comparisons on both sides. You did comparisons on people that were did the 3 years prior to getting into the NBA, and then you did comparisons for people who didn't do it, right? And for me, it sounded like it was a lot of spitballing, right? Throwing out the comparisons, and it came across sort of like an informal conversation about sports, right? If you ever heard people, talk about sports and they'll say, okay, well, what about LeBron James? Well, what about Kobe Bryant? Well, what about Michael Jordan? It seemed like that's how it sounded to me. And it wasn't very well structured. And that's why I kind of gave you a 7 there, right? It wasn't a lot of structure there. Um, I would say this for your closing. I almost had you at a 9 for your closing, but you ran out of time, right? When I don't think you were able to do a proper closing in your closing round, so I had to duck you a point there. And also for your opening, right? You think about it. Anytime I score my openings, there's two components for me, right? I look at your pre-premise, your pre-debate premise, and then your sources that you shared. Did you share any sources in your pre-debate?
So I had sent my sources in late. I low key did. It was like it was like a sports debate, so I didn't think I needed it until I looked at my inbox this morning. I seen Taz had a couple, like he had Bleacher Report and X, Y, and Z, so I threw my sources in there.
Yeah, see, stuff like that is always going to hurt you in terms of, again, it's the formalizing piece of it, right? So that's gonna kind of hurt you. And I think, I took your pre-debate. I always use the pre-debate as well for me in terms of judging the opening, right? Because there's I have to put it in somewhere. Excuse me. I have to put it in somewhere where I'm actually thinking about it, because a lot of debaters, they put a lot of time in the pre-debate. They're sharing their sources deliberately to make the debate content more rich. And if you don't meet the same standard or the same bar, right, I have to make some determinations there, if that kind of makes sense for you. But
But
again,
but what did I get on the first round? What did you score? Did you score me a 7 too? I know Angel gave me a 7 for sure.
I gave you a 7, and I got Taz as an 8.
Okay,
Right.
so why did I lose 3 points? Basically, is what I'm really asking. How I lose 3 points?
What do you mean we lose 3 points? Where you
Cause
see?
cause cause it starts from a 10, right? The 10 is a score, right?
Right, the 10. Yeah, a 10 is like
So
a
how?
perfect
That's what I'm
opening.
saying. Basics, right? So in my head, everybody start at 10. So how?
No, no,
So
no, no, no. You don't start at 10. You have to earn your score, right? You don't just assume that you're gonna have a 10 by doing nothing. No, you earn that.
no, I'm saying how did I?
You actually
Okay, how did
start
I
at
come 3 points short? How did I come 3 points short? Let me rephrase that. How did I come
yeah.
3 points short?
again, I kind of explained it. It's like your opening wasn't, again, right? It wasn't very structured. Your opening wasn't very structured in terms of laying out your framework, in terms of what was your framework definition of the debate? What was your criteria for for saying that your argument was better than your opponent's? You know, again, right? A lot of that kind of fell short for me in your opening because again, your opening was dominated by a lot of like individual player comparisons. And again, I think Taz, he picked up on that, right? Because I'll read a line out of Taz's opening, and this is what I have. He says, in the opening, Taz argued that the debate is about the collective success of top NBA prospects instead of individual performances, right? And that is sort of a direct counter argument to an extensive list of player comparisons that you in your opening. And I think
So
I think Angel had a note in her opening notes as well saying the same thing. So there's some consistency there between the two judges.
so this is where I gotta push back as a
right.
so this is where I gotta push back as a avid fan and a player at a high level. The comparisons that I named off were strategic. They were draft class by draft class, showing you one and dones and two and dones versus three-peat or people who was in the league or people who was in college for 3 years and had more illustrious careers. They weren't just comparisons that were like one-offs. I showed multiple comparisons for one for one or two people that he mentioned like 7 or 8 great players like Carmelo and Kobe and Garnett. I'm mentioning 15,
7 or
16,
8.
17 busts.
And again, right? You can double that. I don't think that's going to win you more points in a debate. I think weaving the connection in terms of your argument, right? You could have actually had less comparisons in a tighter weaving of the connections, right? What's the correlation to your overall argument? I think that's what I'm asking for.
So my overall argument,
as opposed to, again, right? It sounded more like an informal conversation about sports when you talk about a lot of individual player by player comparisons, right? It's great, again, right? I think both of you guys showed your extensive knowledge on, player performances and all of those pieces, but that's not what the debate was all about, right? It was more about structuring that framework, right? And that's and again, right? I'm more of an analytical judge. Right, so that's really what I'm looking for.
okay. Now I feel you, but I feel you. Like I said, I just had that was my pushback. And then when you say you're not really a basketball guy, then I'm like, so okay, you analytical with. That's why if I'm feeling like you wasn't hearing the comparisons because some of them players was going on deaf ears a little bit.
No, I think again, right, in your premise, I think you did an outstanding job in your premise. Actually, I think you did a really good job in your rebuttal, right? Again, your scores are relatively high across the board. The only low score that you got for me was in your opening, right? Because again, right, I think you kind of got off to a slow start on it. Again, it was a lot of comparisons and things like that, and it wasn't a well-structured, proper opening. And again, I think your closing was almost phenomenal until again you didn't have enough time to do a proper closeout and wrap a bow around it, right? Again, I think you kind of went into the comparisons again, right? Because you're giving your top 10. I think it was the 6 legendary players, right? You brought up the list of 6 legendary players again.
That was like a pillar of my argument. That was like that's like my motif. So I try to kind of do it like that.
Yeah.
You gotta set up your 3 straight. Like
right. And
I'm
then
finna get 3 straight.
Right. But you also provide you review that list of the one and dones again. So basically you repeated what you did in your
Okay,
opening.
so what should I be doing in a but if not repeating, what should I be doing?
No, which I think what you should be doing is again, right, is go back and look at the format of the debate, right? We've got is a published document that says what's the criteria for each round. I think it's, it kind of explains it. It's like, okay, well, in your opening, you spoke, okay, well, here's the topic of the debate, right? Here's what I will be presenting, and and here's the sources, all of those pieces in your debate, right? That's the proper opening for me. Right? That's and again, right? It's clearly outlined in the documentation, right?
So
Okay,
look,
all right.
do me a favor, share my screen, Psycho. This is what I didn't rebut with that I should have, right? Because I'm perfectly fine with what I missed out on, because evidently I didn't articulate it right. But at some point, you should have had to deal with this. You got to argue the top, but you never had to argue these other players who 3-4 years in school and we don't hear about them. They're the nobodies that you're calling those top picks. You know what I'm
Herb
saying?
Jones is a baller. Ayo Desume is a baller right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Man, you called the White Howard the baller.
Nah,
That would
y'all
be an
got it. Y'all
opinion.
got it. Y'all got it. Like I said,
Hey,
I'm just trying to figure out how to get an opening and closing good scope, man.
nah, but yeah.
I ain't gonna crash out, man. I ain't
Look,
bashing
Nah,
you.
nah, nah.
look what I'm telling you. Your argumentation was that good, though, fam. It takes me after the debate to think about what I was supposed to rebut that with. I couldn't do it in real time, so your argumentation was good, bro. I just don't. I mean, I don't think this is one to be mad about, or shit
Yeah,
like.
just
Nah, I ain't
don't
tripping. I
go
ain't tripping. I
into
just
your
wanted some
information.
explanation. I just
Just
want some
set the
explanation.
table. That's all you doing.
Like
You
Vino
setting
say,
the
shout out to
table.
the judges, man. I ain't want no. I was
You
just
know.
wanting some explanation. That's all.
No, and I think Taz, I think you did provide one example. I think when he was going through the list of people that when that Lucky considered busts, you mentioned there's like no, it's several people on that list that absolutely, in my opinion, they had great careers, right? So then it was like, okay, well, who do who's winning
That
the argument
nigga
at that
Kenny
point, right? It's
Anderson,
sort of more about
Antoine
opinion.
Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died on Kenny Anderson and Antoine Walker.
Now I
That's what I'm
brought them
saying.
up. They lost their money on. That's what I brought them up for. I showed how they lost. They went bankrupt. That's why I brought them up. Them and Iverson.
I thought that was non sequitur though. Personally, I
What?
didn't know. I did. Yeah, because I didn't. So I didn't understand how the NBA is responsible for their lifestyles. You know what I'm
Financial
saying?
literacy.
And see, I think
That's
that
why
works
that
with the crowd.
so
That's why I
nah
lost
nah.
the
But you
crowd.
answered your
Like,
in the rebuttal. You did answer those questions the same way. You did say no to those questions. You said a nigga from 18 to 22 gonna think the same way. You said that in your rebuttal. So I asked you those questions to try to figure out if you were gonna say yes or no. You said no. So
Yeah, it does. Because even if you in the NIL getting that money, I mean, in college, yeah, you gonna probably do the
but I
same.
mean, in my opinion, Caleb Williams, right, an NFL player, I feel like Caleb Williams benefited from having money already in college, and then he comes to the NFL, he not gonna blow it as fast. But that's just me. So a nigga from coming from college to the league, he not finna be, you know what I'm saying, as luxurious with his spending
That's if
because
you
he
one of
already
them
got the money.
guys though too. You gotta be one of them guys.
I
Like,
mean, but if we talking
but
about people who could
and
have
that's a
went before they
quarterback though.
left, he one of them.
yeah, but that's what I said. That's another
Quarterback, though.
argument.
That's
Like
a quarterback. You would
that
never get that off on the clock. I would never let you have that argument on the clock. That's a quarterback.
that ain't where you lost points at. But I think if you really kind of catch what we also said with how you open, it left out. You kind of showed your hand too
No,
much,
I hear you, Blue. I hear you. I hear
and
you.
yeah, because that shit Taz
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Oh yeah.
he
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 definitely did.
he he went on ahead and thought about it and was like, all right, hold up, and let me find some ground to stand on.
I'm gonna adjust on the fly, nigga. Cause listen, I'm gonna adjust on the fly. Now he sent me a lengthy premise. So you know what I'm saying, I can't complain about the premise. The premise is legitimately what he came to argue. But I could not see it as far as argumentation. I didn't know what he was gonna do.
Right, how
You
he
know what
was
I'm saying?
gonna do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know. So once he laid it out, I'm like, well, fuck, this ain't really a bad argument. But like I said, I knew he was gonna lose points for that opening. So I figured I would be a little bit ahead on that, just the opening. But after that, like I said, he was cooking. I can't say nothing about it. It was
he got
he
going.
did pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did outstanding. I'll tell you another mistake, Lucky, that you didn't make that a lot of other debaters make, and that hits them with points. If this, and I'll tell me if this kind of helps you. A lot of debaters will use their rebuttal for a second premise.
Yeah, I thought that's what he was gonna do.
Right.
I thought
Exactly.
I
think
thought that he was gonna
Lucky,
do.
Lucky did it backwards. I think he used his opening as a piece of his premise as well. He was laying out his premise in his opening as well. So
So
he
that's
gave
but that's
that
the thing,
kind of
seriously. That is what I did because that's what I thought in my opening. I thought in my opening and my premise. I mean in my ending, I'm supposed to explain the premise and reiterate the premise like I'm writing a story like you know what I'm saying, like a
You explaining
thesis.
the debate though. You explaining the debate. You explaining what you coming to do in the intro, and you explaining what you did in the closing.
right. You don't go in depth in terms of data and statistics in your opening. Right. That's for your premise. Again, it's very very high level in terms of, again, just like I think Taz just explained it perfectly.
Yeah, you just want to kind of, these are my 4 points, or three
And but
points.
these got see serious
I structure that shit the same way every time, bro.
these
And I
guys
done got
very
like,
they
bro. I done got
strategic. They ain't
10.
gonna let me get no 15-minute
I done
debate. You
got
see what
10s before, and fam, I done got 7s before doing the same shit on the intro.
Nah, Taz, I done watched all your debates, bro.
You
I
know
done
what?
watched every single one of your debates. You be getting 80. You strategically score high 80s all the time, bro. I be seeing
I
your
do.
No,
I
scores.
do
I got
believe
an
you.
80. I've done 5 debates. I got an 82 and an 85.
Bro, 82 it was the lowest. 85 is still a high 80, bro. That's a high 80.
That's low for me. Damo ain't got no 80
See what I'm
nothing,
saying?
85
That's what I'm
nothing.
saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to
That's
get the
low,
same
bro.
type scores. That's what I'm asking these questions for. That's why I'm being pushing back. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and I do
Yeah,
feel
you
you
moving up though.
could have used the 15 in this debate because, again, it
We
sounds
got
like
Damo
this
next.
is your wheelhouse, and it really came across in the rapid fire, right? Because you were not only holding your own, I think you were kind of edging Taz out a bit in the rapid fire, and again, right, when you're talking about the individual player comparisons, you've got a good command on that. Right. And then I think you guys kind of got into a battle back and forth with the individual player stuff. Right. But yeah, I think you could have used the 15, and it showed because, again, you continued to kind of make your argument in your closing, and that's where you kind of ran out of time and wasn't able to finish it off as properly as I would have liked to see it. So, but again, right, it's strategic for Taz, right? He's like, no, I'm not going to give you that because, again, that 5 on consignment may have killed his argument.
Yeah, I mean, I had something I could have did for 5 extra minutes. I could have went into the history. I could have did 5 extra minutes, but just given that this was his topic, I didn't want to chance it. And I think with them 5 extra minutes, he'd have pulled that off. He'd have won.
Yeah, you very well could have,
When
especially in the
when
premise, especially for the premise.
when Psycho asked it, I definitely kind of left it open, like, you know what I'm saying, trying to see if Taz a bite on it. But he definitely didn't. I was kind of a little sick, low key, but it's all good. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? We'll live to fight another day, man.
yeah, but I gave you some excellent scores, man. Again, I think your best round for me, again, both your premise, your rebuttal was really really good. Your premise and your rebuttal, you know.
So the reason why I'm tripping about the scores is I'm trying to figure out what's the premise. I mean, what make you be able to be going to the playoffs?
What was
I
that
ain't trying to
question?
do no, you know what I'm
What was that
saying?
question?
What's the qualifications to making the playoffs?
It goes off your wins and losses first, and then the points is going to be how you seed it, or tiebreakers as well. Tiebreakers and how you seed it in the playoffs if you make it.
So if I'm having low scores, that's going to affect me being able to get into the playoffs, right?
If you tied with somebody, I mean, it could.
How many debates do you have so far? Uh,
This was my 4th one.
okay, so you got one more. So, I think the main piece is making sure you get your debates out of the way, right? So meeting
I
the
got one
minimum,
more, right?
yeah. Do you have
Yeah,
another
nigga,
one?
you making the playoff.
I got a
Agreed.
debate with
And you
Dome
go,
on
Bobby.
Yeah,
what's that, the 17th?
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
that's
the
all.
play.
'Cause I think a
You
lot of
making the
debates
play.
aren't going to make their minimum number of debates. That's like that's the basic bar there. So
Yeah, that's another part. Yeah, you gonna make
Yeah,
it.
but if I'm
It's really
tied
gonna
with
be
somebody,
about where you gonna be
Series
at.
B, I got like a 52 in the first debate. You know what I'm
You know,
saying? Like I got an uphill battle. I can't be catching 78, 79.
that only affect though your open. I mean, like really, it's gonna affect where like your standing, like your first round battle. But that could be the difference between you being
I
an
gotta get
eight
like an
seed
80.
and like a four seed or some shit. But that's about it. You gonna probably I doubt you don't make the playoffs.
yeah,
I
you
gotta
can't
I'll
make
get
it.
tell
like an
you what,
88 the last debate, man. Oh, I gotta get like an
if you
88.
come in, but look, if you come in command of your information the way you was tonight, because tonight you were in command of your information. You come in command of your information, you get that open and closing right, though, you're gonna be right around that 80. Telling you.
And,
I mean,
and
you're gonna be right there.
what you using for your power? Like it won't. You can't upload it to a PowerPoint. Because once you take it from the app and you upload it to like your slide, either your Google slide or your what you call it, it'll fit everything onto one screen.
Nah, ain't gonna lie to you. I don't like the way slides look. So that's just HTML. I gotta look. That's right. That's on debate.luckygoosem.xyz. I got all my presentations from the first debate to the last debate. I just be on it's hosted on GitHub, but I just be slapping the HTML up there.
Just trying to get it where we can't see more than one outside. You know what I'm saying? Or because it do it be looking like sometimes you looking for something.
Yeah, I don't think the presentation, the slides format was yeah, I don't think that was a major factor because again, right, if even if the font is a little small for me, I think it's my responsibility to make sure I can see it. So I've got like big screens in front of me. I can always see it. Just lean in a bit. So the font doesn't necessarily bother me as well as much. Because again, right, I've got big monitors in front of me so I can see it.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna just reserve my crash out for if I don't make the playoffs. That's all. I'm chilling, but if I don't make the playoffs, I don't know how I'm feeling, man. 'Cause I feel like I done put in some work. Even my first debate, even y'all say y'all couldn't read. I was watching my shit on the replay. I could see so many words. You know what I'm saying? But I just chalked it up to the game. I wasn't even tripping. I just moved on. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But I'm
I don't
trying to
know if
make the
you
Some
playoffs
people,
though.
I
some
don't know
people
if you
watch,
adopt. I
some
don't know
people
if you
watch
would.
it some people watch it from their phone, and it's hard for them to read it from their phone. That's probably what they're talking about.
Yeah, if you get that from the chat, that's definitely right. People iPads and mobile devices. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it ain't really what I can see. It ain't the font. It just don't look like you in order. And sometimes it look like you gotta go here. Because sometimes, and it's because when you scrolling, sometimes it scroll up and then down, just automatically. And so sometimes it look like you looking, like, and is that the right slide or is this the right slide? And I'm like, damn. So yeah, I be like, you sound like you know exactly where you should be going, but when I'm looking at how you scrolling on the screen, I be kind of wondering, like, is that the right slide he wanted to be on, or is he supposed to be on the next one?
And let me say this as well, right? I think in terms of the league, right? We've got a league full of really really good debaters, and nobody's entitled to anything, right? Nobody's entitled to a win. Nobody's entitled to points. Nobody's entitled to a playoff spot. I think anything that any of these debaters get, it's earned, right? And I think that's one of the big merits of what we're doing today. All right, peace. Great debate both from both the debaters, and congrats to Taz on the win.
All right, thanks, bro.
Definitely appreciate it.
Later.
Now,
Yeah, man.
one
But
thing I
yeah,
would have liked to see a comparison of is the percentages, right? Like, because you kind of lightly touched on that just now, Taz. Like as far as the percentages, like what percentages of 3-year and more players are not bust opposed to ones that are bust, and the percentages of the undergrads that were bust opposed to not bust. Like, because I think the undergrads do get like if a 4-year player is a bust, most people don't like they don't really harp on the 4-year bust. Like we always hear about the younger bust, like the Gray Goldens, the Kwame Browns, and we always hear about them, but yeah, you don't really hear about the 4-year bust because I think it's more expectations on the younger players because they
yeah,
got
when you younger, the older dudes are kind of looked at as usually if you ain't came out by 1 or 2 years, they kind of look at you either a slow developer or you just not that good.
yeah. I would just like I don't know if there's a way to even find that percentage, but I would have liked to know what it was. Because there's a lot of busts out there that came out as juniors and seniors. A whole lot of them.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have my argumentation right for real. Uh, for the rebuttal, I could just really rebut what he said, but I wasn't actually prepared for that argument. So that definitely would have been needed. Is because even thinking back when he's saying lottery picks, it didn't register to me to highlight. Okay, but who do you think the second round is? Because
Mm-hmm.
you debating from people in the second round that could have stayed in college. I'm not saying these people needed to come out. These weren't top prospects. But
But
when you age out in your third and fourth year, then now you got to come out. And again, it's the second round. Nobody even wants them for real.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's tricky. And like how, yeah, because like I said, you got these 3-4 year players who come out. They'll struggle, and then they'll be out the league, and nobody think twice about it. Um, yeah, like I said, the expectation level is just much higher on the younger players when they come out because they're coming out, they're getting drafted young, so they, expectations like, okay, well, he must be a player. He was only here for he was one and done, or he came straight out of high school. So
How many,
people got the
how many
odds.
years did Rashad McCants go?
How many years was McCann?
I think he went 3 or 4. That garbage ass thing. He swore to God he was fucking. Hey, that nigga be revise their history. He swear to God, bro. He could have been Kobe. He had all of these Kobe nights, and then the coach was holding him back, like make it stop. Yeah, Shot McCancer probably one. Uh, damn, Dan Gordon was solid, but then you got what was his teammate at Connecticut?
um,
You really could just look at all of the senior
what
teams.
year was he there? What year was he there? What year was that? What years was that around?
Like 06.
06 in Connecticut. Um, that's not what's it called. Is that Okafor? Was Okafor on that team? I don't remember. Was Okafor already? That's close to the same time as Okafor. I don't know if that was before, after, or during. I'm trying to remember. I thought he was going to be a player. That's
Yeah,
another.
that's who it was. Okafor.
Yeah, that's another
Lameka
4-year plus.
Okafor. With he was Ben Gordon's teammate.
Yeah. What about Christian Laettner? Christian Laettner, 4-year bust.
Yeah, Kristen Leitner. Uh, shit. What's his name? Adam Morrison.
4-year, but he's 3 years, right? He was 3, I think. But yeah, he was a bust.
Yeah. Um, shit. Who else? Jimmy Fredette. Shit. Damn, bro. I can start shooting them. For real.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fredette. Shit. Even though he over there balling out in China, that nigga dropping like 80 a night right now.
But it's China.
Hell yeah. That's what I was like, okay. The mother league, nah. Let me see. You got who else was the bus?
Ed O'Bannon.
Damn, and
4 year bust.
O'Bannon.
4 year bust.
Shit.
Another one. Yeah. I said there's a lot of them, man. A lot of 4 year busts.
Yeah, and those just the ones who we was looking at like, oh, they had a hot run in the tournament. Like, oh, he deserved to go first round.
Car-
But
What's my name? Cornelius Williamson. He was. I
yeah,
was. He didn't end up being the play. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't anywhere close to what he was
Corbin,
supposed to be.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
yeah, with the high socks. Yeah,
The big nasty.
Yeah. He was
Pause.
he was the man in college, but to the NBA and was a bench player, career
Yeah.
bench player. Yeah.
you know, shit, Darvin Ham. How many years he went? 3 or 4, I think.
I'm just thinking like national players of the year that was like 4 year players. There's a lot of the
Yeah,
motherfuckers that was bust.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough
Calvin
one right
Brady,
there. Oh,
Mhm.
Indiana.
yeah.
He was a beast at Indiana. Couldn't do shit in the league.
How many years did TJ Ford go?
Oh, that's good. Well,
3.
good.
He might have been. Nah, he probably was like 2. See, that was my nigga though. He came out that year with Chris Paul. That Chris Paul rookie season was different.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that shit.
You wanted to find all the 4 year bust. Yeah, you gotta go like pre 1995. You found a whole bunch of those motherfuckers, dog.
Yeah,
You found a whole slew of those
shit.
motherfuckers, man. Then you can
Man,
find
we
them,
could just start
after
naming it.
1995 too, but before 1995, oh my god, you cooking with hot grease.
Yeah.
Bus after bus after bus after bus. Motherfuckers I actually thought was gonna be players. Bus. Was nah. He got what year was he was young when he came out. Let me make sure I ain't tripping. What year did he come out? He oh no, he wasn't. Joe Smith stayed on for 3 years. I think. I was thinking about Joe Smith.
At Maryland.
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
bust, but he stayed. He was only 2 years though. That would urge you.
Shit. RJ Davis.
Well, but I remember he was like player of the year in Maryland.
Yeah. RJ Davis was supposed to be fired. Braden Smith.
That's why I try to keep it simple with Bron and Kobe and names motherfuckers are recognized because I feel like if I go down that rabbit hole, it makes it legitimate for him to do it. I felt like he was just throwing names around, and I didn't want to get caught up doing that. I wanted to use that against him because that nigga said, I'm going to name you 20 motherfuckers. I'm like, bro, that is risky.
Doug McDermott. Buddy Hield. Zach Edey. Frank Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank.
Yeah. Yep. The Tank. Damn. What was his teammate? That nigga was raw though. What was his teammate? The other one
Who he played with at Wisconsin. I forget who was on
he
that
went to
team.
the Rockets too. That nigga was raw. Damn. Napier, the Shabazz Napier. Shit. we could run now. Oh yeah, it's some names out there that'll hurt you.
See, I didn't want to get caught up in that though. I didn't want to get caught up in names, in individual accolades. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the
that's what it gets
overall.
barbershoppy.
just
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
keep it a little like, okay, so yeah, this is the players who I'm talking about, and you already know who they are. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to explain too much about them. And so that's why I try to keep it simple, because I do think when people start hearing you talk about, you just throwing names out there like, motherfucker, like, nigga, don't know who Johnny Flynn is, bro, unless they watch basketball, bro. Like,
and I'm gonna be
yeah, I'm saying,
real. That kind of helps you though a little bit in the rapid fire because it kind of turned to that. And when it turned to that, it just kind of made it kind of like outside of like the purpose of it. Like the purpose is the overall success of their life. You know what I mean? And like the stability that they would have moving forward in life. And I think he got away from that and was more so into like stat for stat, like because it started turning into was Dwight Howard the bum. And at that point, now this is just apples and oranges.
Mhm.
that's blasphemy, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
out the window, I was like, what a
I'm
bum,
not a
bro.
big Dwight Howard fan either, to be honest with you. But
I mean, but a bum? Like, come on. Like, I ain't the biggest fan, bro, but bro took his team to the chin. Like, come on, man. Like, we still waiting on Greg Oden to put together a full year.
and that, I mentioned that in the beginning. Like you could have cooked on that too, Taz. Like somebody like Greg Oden would have stayed in college listening to this. 3 years. I gotta stay 3 years stuff. He never gets paid.
Ever,
He
I,
never
ever.
gets paid.
so and I thought about that as like a whole like setup, but I didn't want
Mhm.
to keep doing it because I did it with Kobe. So I didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
want to keep. I didn't know how it look if I keep doing the same
I think it would have hit
comparison.
harder with Greg Oden though, because I think Kobe, if he went to college, I think Kobe would have still been Kobe. But Greg Oden, because his body and breaking down and everything else, like he was on borrowed time. He had to leave when he left, or else he wasn't gonna get no money.
I mean, I think even going into the conditions of why, like, that's just like the difference between like Carmelo Anthony and then his son. You know what I mean? His son to be back next year. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
Melo had to get it. It wasn't, said I could wait another year. He probably should have, you know what I mean? He could have went out of high school, but that solidified him that year. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think his son gonna be raw because of that. I think his son gonna probably be probably about another year or two. His son gonna be that's gonna be the revenge of Melo for
No,
real.
I was ready for that argument though, brother Moses, about the NIL because I think I don't think what people are recognize with the NIL with basketball is they ain't paying like that. The basketball is capping off at 10 mil, and that's just one player. You know what I'm saying? So everything else underneath, you better off going to the league if you can go.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if we
Yeah,
talking
for real.
football, that's a different conversation. NIL money in football is crazy, but for basketball, it ain't up there yet.
So, look, but the good thing with basketball is they sell themselves a little bit better. Like Mikey Williams, he probably done made the bag already, bro, over and over. It felt like that nigga was in high school, bro, forever. Like he just got through running it in Sacramento State with Shaq together a nice little season. But yeah, it was like I said, man, he made it. It was solid. I just think the opening hurt him because he didn't frame the argument enough. And I think if you frame it, then when you come back in your opening and you try to reframe it, he hears that. But it's like that opening round, that's a fight for just the what we supposed to be talking about and why anything outside of what I'm talking about is is, is irrelevant or blasphemous or whatever. And just to me, not doing that, it kind of hurt him. And then he allowed for you. You just made sure that you set up you a nice little comfy space to fight in. Like I'll just stand over here.
Right. And stay here the whole time.
Yeah,
Right here.
I'll stand right here.
I ain't going too far. Because I mean, for real, that was my biggest fear, bro. Because he was kind of his argument was. I just think it was on point. But again, I don't know how I can get around some of that. You know what I'm saying? If I don't just use the best. Like I say, he throwing it around like they outliers, they this, they that. And like I say, it's not till after the fact I'm thinking like, yeah, but them second round niggas, if we argue them, that make your players outliers too. You know what I'm saying? If we introduce these other niggas that never get playing time, that went 4 years, that's going to the G League after 4 years, that negates your argument too. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a better conversation than I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause he actually brought a legitimate argument.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Definitely interesting. So let me ask you this, Psycho. In terms of the parity question, what do you think about that? Do you think it's more or less parity now?
Y'all got really hung up on that in the rapid fire too.
That's my stupid ass, bro. That was my dumb ass.
I think it was more parity before, back in the day, before expansion. I think that's what I think expansion. I don't think it's necessarily what he was arguing as far as like the less parity or whatever. I think that got everything to do with too many teams in the league. The league was better when it was less teams. Now it's watered down, and like you got all these extra spots now that ain't even really needed. So I think it was more. I understood your argument though about how many teams won the finals in the '80s and shit. You know, like it's only four. Forgot about Philly, but it was the Lakers, Boston, Pistons, and Sixers, and it was only one coming out the West. Shit, the Lakers went to 8 motherfucking finals in the '80s. 8 out of 10, they was the Lakers was there. The other 2 was Houston. So I looking at it from that perspective, I can see how you say it wasn't a whole lot of parity.
Yeah, I didn't have my questions prepared. That's the one thing I wasn't ready for is the questions. They already wasn't prepared. I call myself gonna go off of his argument, but again, his argument was kind of solid. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, that's why I ended up getting caught up on the parity conversation because I was trying to establish that it was better players now, but as I couldn't.
You looking for something? I already know. That was like anything to muck it up, at least. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was fishing a little bit.
He had it. That's why I was like, he had a solid argument. He just needed to frame it, set up the parameters, and that he didn't do. He allowed you to set what the parameters for the debate was, and that's like that's gonna hurt. That's the first thing I knew that was gonna be my fight with Domo the whole fucking night was what the fuck like the parameters of this debate. You can't never forget that shit. It's like that shit got to come out from the beginning because after you done, Domo finna come up and be like, what he means to say.
And see, I think he tried though, right? I think he tried with the argument of because it was one argument that he said, that these that it was top heavy and that they were outliers. That was the argument he tried to keep consistent throughout the debate. And I just don't think that's a good argument because, like I said, again, on the other side of that, then everybody would be outliers.
Right.
Like, there's only 60 players getting drafted a year. Like what are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
Out of
think
them,
you stick with the stability, you stick with the maturity, I mean, like it's just certain shit that you kind of stick with, the education and shit as your foundation.
yeah, you lucky if you get somebody that can impact your team at 20. I'm just saying it ain't no more than 20 players coming out that draft that can impact your team today.
Shit, 10. I'm gonna say 10. Most of them going G League, bro. You get 20 players that's gonna impact your team. You talk about an '03 draft, a '96 draft, bro. Like, nah, you're not getting that.
You like the '03 draft over '96?
Hell no. Well, nah. Iverson in '96, bro.
What you got, Blue Jays? I know you fuck with basketball. What did you see?
I think it was both sides made very good points. I understand your point. I understand his point, but what separated it was you was talking about high end players. Um, I think high end players probably should be able to go straight to the NBA. I don't think there should be a 3 year wait. Like you said, LeBron, Kobe, T Mac,
Yeah,
Moses.
there's just no reason for them to wait. I guess there's no
Yeah,
reason.
Why was Kevin Durant waiting? Why did Kevin Durant have to wait a year? There was no need.
did he?
He was
Did he?
ready. Yeah, he was the first.
No, he was ready.
Yeah,
No, like
I was wrong earlier. I thought 04 was the last year. 05 was the last year. Andrew Biden was the last motherfucker drafted from high school. But Kevin Durant came. Kevin Durant would have been. Kevin Durant would have been the 06 draft if he came straight out of high school. He said he would have, but they changed the rule on him, so he was one and done.
yeah, he was ready.
Yeah.
Now the only thing I would say is different is the body. The body might not be ready for the NBA, but they'll they got weight rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think players like Taz said should go straight to the league. I don't want to see Kobe playing at Duke or LeBron playing at North Carolina. They should go straight to the league. And I think that's what made I didn't see the whole debate, but if I did, you would have probably won on my hands because of the elite players. Like now, if he talking about people like Bronny James and other players, yeah, they need to stay 3 years in college.
Right.
But he wasn't talking about that.
I wouldn't have disagreed with that if that's his choice. Because my argument too was, okay, this is the player's choice too, though. You know what I'm saying? It's beneficial to the NBA, and you telling these actual basketball players to not play basketball. That sounds crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not finna get basketball players to turn down a NBA contract so they can go in the first round. That's crazy.
Hell no. My son, man, listen, my son was able to go to NBA. I don't give a fuck what college was not gonna do it. We cool. This nigga gonna go number 7 pick. Like the NIL deals are good. Like I was talking about in the chat. What's his name? D.A.B.A.T.E or whatever, however you pronounce it. He getting 4.4 million, but he come out next year. This year, coming in the draft, he might get what's the league rookie minimum?
Like 4 million a year, some shit like that.
No, the top 5 is higher than that.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, because Bronny James getting he got a 4-year, $7 million contract right now. But I think the top 5 or 10, they at least get like 10 to 15 million.
They getting that much? I don't know they getting that much, dog. Rookie deal?
It's up there. That's what I was
Yeah,
saying. It's better than that NIL deal.
Yeah, it's way better than NIL. That's why I will eat now. If it's the same money as the NIL, you stay in college. But if you talking about
number one pick in 2025, he got 13.8. Number 10 pick got 5.
That's the same thing as being in college. So I go to the NBA and get $5 million.
Yeah, that 5 is what the third best college player getting though.
Right. On the NILs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that third best college player get a whole lot more if you get drafted.
I'm taking that 13 million. Who was that? The white boy from
That's what that was for the that was the number 1 pick.
And would you take that 5 or would you stay under NIL?
No, I'm taking that 5. I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah, I'm gone.
I'm taking the 5. I'm in the NBA.
Right. You signed a contract to play more years. I don't know why you take the NIL and stay in college and risk everything. To me, that's the bigger risk.
Yeah. One sprained ankle. that 4.5 million you get in a year from the NIL go to. Yeah, you gotta
That
work
must
at
be
Wendy's,
only for
bro.
the men's though, cause Flage got a bag, bro. That's why she was never
What
gonna
she
get
get?
shit. She was getting a bag, bro. Off her shoes, off her music, then all kind of shit. Then the NIL deal dropped.
Oh well, yeah, she added to her flavor though, but like
Then she
the
just
boy that's coming
got in the
out
league
of
dropping 20 a night early.
the boy that's coming out of Baylor gonna get a bag though.
BYU or Baylor?
Yeah, I mean I said BYU. I said Baylor. Shit. Yeah, he gonna get that money.
Yeah, that's what I
Because
said.
he was getting 4.4 million.
No, he got his NIL was like 8 or 9. He was damn near getting 10. That BYU kid.
He was getting 10 million?
Yeah, on the NIL. Yeah, that's why I said he's the outlier because they willing to give that top prospect that, but if he's a top NBA pick, you're gonna get that and a contract. So why not just
Right. And a sneaker deal possibly.
What's up, y'all?
What up,
Lou?
Yeah, it was a decent debate, man. I thought that was kind of
We not talking about college, bro. Go ahead and get that money.
I just think it's a tough one to kind of judge.
One sprained ankle can end everything. Like you said, the NBA contract's guaranteed.
Can you hear Lou?
What up, Blue? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you. My bad, Lou.
It's all good. I just don't get into like bus factor versus success rate. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? You can argue that just even getting drafted is a success. You know what I mean? Despite even if you don't play not one, you know what I mean? Game and shit like that. You know what I mean? As long as you get the deal and shit. But yeah, y'all made it entertaining. Y'all made it interesting. I was surprised to see Lucky get the chat. I don't know. Have you ever lost the chat this season, Taz? I ain't seen that.
Yeah, I lost the chat before.
This season?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was tough to argue from Lucky's standpoint because, you know, just like Blue was just saying, it's like it's always gonna, you know, lead to like, you know, you might as well go and take the opportunity. And then who can even predict whatever the bust factor may be by coming out versus staying in? You know what I mean? I could argue that Sebastian Telfair was never gonna be an NBA player. I think he just got in based off the hype of, you know what I mean, putting up that 100 points in high school. But
Hey, Psycho, what's the boy name that went to St. John's that fucked that money up?
St. John's.
Yeah, he was a Islander boy. He went to St. John's.
Julio Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez,
Felipe Lopez.
Felipe.
Yeah,
Lopez.
he never got any. He didn't. Did he get drafted?
No, he didn't go to the league. He
That's
stayed.
what I said. Yeah, he didn't get drafted. Yeah,
Yeah, he could.
I played against that motherfucker. That motherfucker. He was the man in high school in out of New York. He was the man. Like he was supposed to be that dude. Like they talked about him the way they was talking about LeBron. Like he had that type of height. And yeah, he was supposed to be the next Jordan and shit. They were talking about him like that.
But he got hurt. He got hurt his second or his freshman year in St. John. Fucked that bag up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what y'all was
For me,
saying.
though, like, you know, as a fan of
He
college
almost came out of high
basketball,
school. He almost came straight out of high school. He was thinking about doing it before Kevin Durant. I mean, not Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett. Why do I keep fucking name Kevin Garnett?
for me as a fan of college basketball, though, man, I prefer they stay 3 years. I'm sorry. That's what it made. I mean, at least before the NIL stuff, but it kind of like watered down the NCAA product by just jumping straight to the league. That's just a biased fan though of the college sport.
I kind of disagree with that though, because like just think about Kobe or LeBron having to play 3 years in college. Like,
Right. College would have been it would have been nice. College
but it
would
was
have
still nice when they was in the NBA though. Like, you see what I'm
fuck
saying?
the
Like,
NBA. I'm just saying, like, think outside of the NBA and just think straight college league.
no. I'm saying the college game was still nice when Kobe and Bron was
Yeah, it
still
was
playing in
still
the
nice,
NBA.
but then are you
See,
arguing that it wouldn't have been? Are
okay,
you
but listen,
arguing that it wouldn't be nicer with those two in the
yeah, I don't
NCAA?
think so. I don't think so. I
No,
think they hurt the game. I think it might hurt college basketball.
Nah, I want to see that. So Tim Duncan going to college wasn't good. Seeing that, but I
Well,
don't know.
okay, so when you say stay 3 years, though, if everybody's staying 3 years, I think it's too much overlap.
Yeah, I could be romanticizing like the '80s when most of those guys stayed in college, but I just remember college being way more,
Ewing
like
was ready to leave before his senior year. Olajuwon was ready to leave before his senior year. I could run down quite a few people that would have did fine if they left early.
yeah. I'm just talking about the product of the NCAA. Aside from the debate, you feel me? Like I think jumping straight to the league it definitely watered down the college.
yeah, but listen, what I'm saying is you got a NBA product playing college.
So what? Like, why do we care? What's going on in the NBA? I'm talking
No,
about
we
college
care.
right now.
We care because he should be playing in the NBA.
But that was my part of the debate, though. Why would the
Why do
NBA?
you care? Why do you care about the NBA if you're a college fan? What if you ain't no NBA fan? You want to see the best players in college? That's what I'm saying. Like
Where I come from, I don't. I would consider that like a ringer. I don't want an
a ringer.
NBA player. I don't want an NBA player playing
Guys to the ringer though.
for Duke
If you that age, you know what I'm saying? So like Larry
because
Johnson,
he got a
he was,
professional game. That's like I don't like that. Like LeBron playing for Duke.
man, get out of here, man. So Shaq
Just imagine
should have just
LeBron
went
playing
straight
3
to the
years
league.
at Duke.
So Shaq should have just went straight to the league, like fuck going to college. Because anytime he spent in college, he was definitely
Who you said Shaq?
yeah,
Yeah, Shaq was a grown ass man. The fuck,
he's the right age though, man. What are you talking about? He eligible.
no, bro. Listen,
I mean,
it,
I'm just
it's
saying I don't really,
it's
like
a
if you
difference. It's a difference in talent. You see what I'm saying? Like Shaq was college age, but Shaq had
I'm saying
a
so
pro
what?
body.
You nice, man. It don't matter like, like that ain't his fault. If he nicer than everybody else.
Yeah,
Kevin Durant had that one good year in Texas.
but like
He went bananas.
what Taz said, if Shaq was able to go to the NBA and he made that decision, why is that not the same decision as choosing a Duke head or
If he decides to leave, he can leave. I'm just talking about the college product, though. nonetheless, though, we can move on. I ain't gonna, like it's just a preference. That's all.
Yeah, I hear you. I just like to see college athletes at the same thing. Like I don't want to see a pro playing college basketball unless like the rule is in, like I don't think Kareem should have had to play 4 years. Like Kareem
We
was
seen
averaging 38 in
we
college.
we seen people dominate college and then don't and be garbage in the league. So
Yes, I have.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
seen it a lot of times.
it ain't always guaranteed either.
But when a nigga averaging 38 in college, bro, that's crazy. Like, did UCLA win all those championships when Kareem was there?
The only one did they win when because they forced them to play freshman year on junior varsity. They ain't let him play his freshman year on the varsity. So I don't know if they won that year.
I think they won like two or three championships or
I know they
something.
won three straight. He never lost. Remember, Kareem never lost in college. Won
Right.
no championship. But
So,
one of those years he didn't play.
so that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a pro dominating a college game when he should just be doing that in the pros.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you got
they want to see LeBron dominate Duke and Kobe go to Duke and shit and fuck his career up. Kobe would not have no legacy if he'd have went to Duke. He'd have got drafted by the goddamn Miami Heat or somebody.
man, it is what it is. Like that's the point. Like, you know what I mean? Like you still land where you land. Your legacy gonna be what it is. If you nice like that, it don't matter where you land.
No, it matter where you land.
Man, Jordan went to the Bulls. The Bulls was the worst team in the NBA.
Right, but they had a front office that could put somebody around him.
Luckily, don't get me started, man.
Luckily, they drafted Pippen. I know what you should say right there.
Would Jordan have been? Would Jordan have benefited if he stayed his senior year? Would he have benefited?
Nah, but that's not my argument whether he would benefit or not. I'm just talking about college being a better product. But who knows? I mean, that's hard to project, man. I doubt it though. If I'm guessing,
Jordan would have been the same player if he came out of sophomore year. He'd have been the same player. Playing his junior year in college didn't help or hurt him.
it's just hard to you know what I mean to do the what if stuff. But
Might have
yeah.
affected what team drafted him, but he
No,
still would
but
have.
I'm just thinking about what Taz just said because it is, like the Bulls did, the Reinsdorf did by that team after Jordan got drafted. So like, I'm pretty sure the previous ownership was like they fucked up doing that, But only problem, well, I don't want to get in too much into that. I got issues with Reinsdorf and them outside of them doing what they did for those years. But outside of that, they've been a horrible ownership. For I don't know what Taz was trying to get me to. You know what I'm
I thought it
saying?
was a cheat code him using Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry couldn't have went out early if he wanted to. Like they barely wanted to draft him when he came out as a senior. Like Steph Curry's name wasn't buzzing until his senior year when he took Davidson far in the tournament and shit. Like before that, Steph Curry name wasn't buzzing, and most people, even after he killed shit in Davidson that one year, they still didn't think he was NBA ready. Like he got drafted in the middle of the first round. Like like he said, they mentioned earlier, like 2 point guards got drafted before him. Like the motherfucker wasn't big on stuff like that. He wasn't gonna get drafted. Like he couldn't just say, yeah, on my sophomore year, like from coming from Davidson. Yeah, some guard from Davidson the sophomore year said he coming out. Some little motherfucker. He would have been a second round draft pick at best if he came out his sophomore year. So yeah, he just wasn't highly touted like
Yeah,
that.
he probably would have gotten even drafted coming out the sophomore year. Yeah, without them that tournament performance, you right. Like I don't know.
He went to a no-name college and shit like that. He got on everybody's radar in the tournament.
And that happens a lot, though. A good tournament run to get you drafted for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I can
Like
think of a bunch of people.
like Jimmy Fredette.
No, like the O'Bannons.
Yeah,
O'Bannons.
they was good
Remember
all the
Mill
time.
Robinson? Remember Mill Robinson from Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
The O'Bannons was like
Romil,
last
number
year's
21, Romil Robinson.
Yep,
like
had a
they
good
was,
ass tournament, hit the last 2 foul shots, won the title game, ain't do shit in the league.
but that don't apply to the O'Bannons though. They was known in college and they was on the UCLA in a top program. So like at the Steph Curry example with him being at Davidson,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, they had
he
more
was on
pub.
the team.
They had more
Yeah.
pub than Steph, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like people don't probably remember Blake Griffin brother played with him in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of that NBA stuff, man. It's like where you land. It's a lot of factors, man. Like it's staying healthy. It's just a lot of things that you know what I mean that could just change the trajectory. You know, then it's like fit program fit, like do you fit in that particular system type of stuff. Do the coaches even know how to use you in these systems? All that stuff be factoring in. Like well, that's that. But Steph Curry benefited from just he benefited from a lot of that. You know, like the league was evolving and exactly the system. I mean, he always could shoot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He came from a shooter. His daddy was a shooter.
Let me ask y'all this: is he that successful if he don't land in Golden State? Like if he go to the
Yeah,
Knicks or something like that?
probably. I would say he wouldn't have been that successful if he didn't have Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson was the best thing that happened to Steph Curry. He let him be him. Mark Jackson groomed that motherfucker, and then Stephen Curry came by afterwards and took all the credit. But Mark, the one that
I don't know
brought
about
that,
that argument, man.
was the
I don't
truth.
know if I saw. I don't know, like, I mean, I can't saying we the one way or the other. Like, I know I hear people say that, but like, as far as like materially, like him developing Steph Curry, you know, because the system that they run is different. I mean,
He gave him
you know,
he's the one that gave him the green light. And no other coach in the league would have gave Steph
no,
that green light.
I'm talking about the system that Steve Kerr put in versus the system that Mark Jackson was running.
Mark
It's
Jackson,
different.
he wrote the blueprint. He took that Indiana offense that they was running with Reggie and Byron and all of them and everything else that took them to the finals and all this. But like he took that offense and he ran with it, and he still didn't go to state, and the motherfuckers was balling.
But they wasn't the Steph
I think
Curry.
he's the reason. I think he's the reason why they drafted Clay Thompson. I don't know if Steph the same
But
motherfucker without Clay on the other side.
but Steph Curry wasn't no superstar under Mark Jackson. He became a superstar with the system that Curry put in. That's the reason
Yes,
why
he
I'm
did.
like,
He was becoming a superstar. They got rid of Ellis because Steph was balling. That's why they got rid of Ellis because they already had Ellis.
right. But Western didn't get rid of him. Mark Jackson didn't get rid of Steve Kerr got rid of him. You know
No,
what I
but
mean?
Steph took his Steph was starting when Mark was there.
Yeah,
Steph
he
was
was
starting.
starting. I'm saying he wasn't no superstar though. Like that system that Steve Kerr put in there, like with that motion. I mean, obviously Mark Jackson benefited in somewhat degree, but I'm just saying like I hear people make that argument, but I don't never hear like the material
It, the players
reason why
love
they
Mark.
say
The players love Mark. They want like the organization got rid of Mark because he's a goddamn fundamentalist. They're just nut. That's why they got rid of him. They couldn't take that shit no fucking more. They didn't get rid of him because he was doing a bad job.
Look at Fatang, man. Talking about he averaged 28. Yeah, but he went to a mid-major though. Is Davidson what what league is Davidson, man? That's a mid-major, right? I don't believe that's no.
No, that's not. That's that's a small school. They D1 barely,
Yeah,
but it's a small school though.
yeah, that should be meaning something, bro, to your draft status. Is there
I'm
any other
telling you,
like?
people lead the nation in scoring and don't get like Steph did
Yeah,
not have a lot of pub. I mean, like I'm not gonna say he had a lot, but he had a lot of pub on like his last season, especially in the tournament. But I'm saying like coming out the league, even after that, leading the nation in scoring and
right.
doing balling in the tournament. That motherfucker was still like the third or fourth point guard drafted. Like they was not big on Steph. They didn't think he was
I
gonna
think
be
he
NBA.
went like number 7 or something, right?
Yeah,
But like,
they didn't think he was gonna be an NBA
I'll
player.
give you another example, Psycho. Lamar Murray led the league and led the college in scoring. Went to a mid-major,
Yeah.
same thing, and he, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't get drafted all that high. I think he went to the bottom of the first round. Not Lamar
Like
Murray, but the guy that
they
went to
did not
Loyola
think Steph
Marymount.
was going to be Steph. They did not think he was
It
going to
wasn't
be.
Lamar Murray though. The guy who went to Loyola Marymount with Hank
Oh,
Gathers.
Bo
Who was
Kimball.
his name?
Bo
Bo
Kimball.
Kimball. Bo Kimball. Yes,
Yeah,
that's who I'm talking about.
yeah. He another one. Yep, yep. Then, he scored a whole bunch of points in college. Didn't do shit in the league. Didn't do. The Knicks drafted that motherfucker. He didn't do shit.
Steph Curry before Steph Curry. Shit, like this nigga was shooting. That's all their whole team was shooting threes. Made a run in the tournament.
Yeah,
Bo Campbell.
yeah. He got picked 7. He got picked 7. I
Yeah.
thought he went lower. I know he was like the third guard took.
I know he went seven, number 7. Was Kyrie in that lottery? I mean in that draft class?
Let me see. Let me double check. Might have been because this was '09. I'm about to look. Give me 1 second. Uh, nope. Kyrie wasn't there.
Right.
Motherfucking who got? See, James Harden was there. He got Blake Griffin went number 1. I seen D.A.B.A.T.E went.
The beat. I seen
Yeah,
the league or whatever his
to me,
name.
yeah, whatever the fuck that's. Yeah, that motherfucker was number 2. James Harden went 3. Tyreek Evans went 4. Ricky Rubio went number 5.
Yeah,
Ricky
they fucked
Rubio
up.
got drafted before that motherfucker from Spain. They took a motherfucker from Spain before they took Steph Curry. Johnny Flynn, another motherfucking point
Yeah,
guard.
they
They
fucked
took
up.
before motherfucking Steph. And then Steph got drafted.
Yeah, those people fucked up.
Yeah.
Steph was the pick that, you know what I'm saying? That I know they mad as fuck after that.
Mm-hmm. Motherfucker picked Ricky Rubio, number 5. I
Ricky
know they
Rubio.
kicking themselves. Motherfucker.
He like a
He had a lot of
um,
height. Ricky Rubio had a lot of height.
he like a
He
80
had a lot
90
of hype
second.
without showing nothing, while Steph Curry had some hype and he showed everybody everything. He showed everybody what the fuck he was in college, motherfucker. He said, nope, he ain't gonna do that shit in the NBA.
Again, though, like all coaches is not gonna allow. So I do
And that's
let me
what it
just go back.
was.
I do agree with you a little leading to that point about Mark Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
He let him be
Uh,
him. He let him be him. That's what I
that's
meant.
why I say though, like the system means something. Like when you get drafted, like as far as like your bus rate, you know what I'm saying? Like that factors in as much as like whether you come out early or not, maybe even more as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Cause some older coach, a older school coach with an old mindset and everything else drafted Steph Curry That's handcuffs. He gonna have handcuffs on him all day long. First time he shoots on the fucking logo, he gonna get benched. I don't care if he made it. They gonna bench the shit out of him. Yo, that's a horrible motherfucking shot. The fuck is you doing? Sit your ass over here. Go on, rookie. Sit your ass over there until you learn how to take better shot selections. Matter of fact, that was one of the knocks on him coming out of college. Was his shot? He had horrible shot selection. That was one of the knocks on him. Shot selection horrible, and he's not a natural point guard. Those are the two knocks on him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough call, man. But yeah, y'all got it, man. Taz is what? You got one more debate left? Well, he probably ain't even up here. This shit kind of winding down.
Yeah. 1 second.
I tell you, boy, this man here, boy. Regardless, we all saw Steph Curry come into the league, man. We all impressed. You know what I mean about like uh, his legacy, the way he how he solidified his legacy. We all agree he the best shooter in NBA history. So I don't know what you are against. Fine.
What'd you say?
I'm just talking to Fatane. I don't know what he arguing. Everybody know he's the greatest shooter in history. So like,
We talking about what the perception of him was coming into the league. Nobody, if people knew he was going to be this guy, he would have been number one pick. He damn sure would have been the first point guard taken off the board.
he said, Blake Griffin went number one.
Yeah. Is Blake Griffin a bust?
No.
Blake Griffin was the rookie of the year. Well, he definitely came in the league. But again, look where he landed at. He was over there with Chris Paul, Live City. You feel me? Like without that type of
Yeah,
point
like a
guard,
5-year run.
yeah, without that type of
5
point
years, what he
guard,
was
though.
talking about. That's why
But
I
I'm
asked.
saying, without that system, without that type of point guard, we're not gonna see Griffith at his best like that so early too. You know
Well,
what I'm
Chris wasn't
saying?
there when he first got there. Chris came later.
Who was the point guard over there before Chris got there?
I forgot. I know Chris came there like his second year or some shit. I
Was
remember
it Anthony? The dude who won them championships with Golden State. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? Psycho.
Golden State.
Yeah, remember Golden State that point guard. He's kind of a passing point, but he wasn't no scoring point guard. You know, he just run the offense.
No, I
What's
can't
his
remember the top
name,
of my
man?
head.
Damn, what's his damn name? Hold on, I'm gonna look him up. But I
I
think
think
he was
that
over
was
there.
a 5-year run. Blake Griffin's career is actually better than I thought. He missed a lot of games. That's what it was. He missed a lot of games. But yeah, his career is better than I thought, though. His rebounding is low. He didn't get a lot of boards. His highest rebounding year was his rookie year. He got 12 a game. That was the most he got. After that, he had 10 a second year, and he never had 10 or better since. He had 12 rebounds first year, 10 rebounds second year. Every year after that was under 10. I'm iffy on Blake. If y'all can't tell.
They put up Sean Livingston. I ain't talking about Sean Livingston. It's another guy who they had running the offense.
Oh, Sean Livingston was good.
Not him though. It's not him who I was talking about. I was
Mm,
talking about Other guy, man. He was just an all around point guard too. Like play defense. Kind of he was tall. He was a taller point guard.
You not talking about Sean Livingston?
No, wasn't too athletic. Just a steady guy, and he don't make mistakes like that. He make the right passes. Man, I'm gonna look it up. I got to look it up. Before you shut it down, I just want you to know what I'm talking about.
Hold on. I know you're not talking about Crawford.
Nah,
Passing?
this guy
Passing?
he wound up with Golden State. Hold on, though.
As soon as he said passing, you should have known he wasn't talking about Crawford.
But wait a minute. What's thing came into the league 2013, right?
What happened?
Blake.
That was 2009, wasn't it? 113, was it? I don't think it was 13. It was 2010, 2011.
What the fuck? The fuck? Let me see. Okay. No, they saying 2013 for Blake.
What? 2013 what?
That's when he came in the league.
Who?
Blake Griffin.
He came in the same year as Steph.
Oh shit. Oh, let me look at this shit.
He was the number one pick in the Steph draft.
Okay, yeah, 2010. I don't know why they only gave me 2000. I'm trying to find the 2010 point guard.
You said they came in he came in what year?
2010. Damn. Oh, you talking about Eric Bledsoe?
Mm-mm.
Randy Foy?
Nah, I could be off though, but I'm just looking for this player. But when I find him, y'all don't know what I'm talking about.
2010 Clippers. The point guard was Eric Bledsoe.
Okay, and it wouldn't have been him anyway.
Mo Williams was over there. Eric Gordon was over there. Randy Foy was over there. Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Let me go to 2011. Maybe on 2011. Clippers. These niggas just getting me some weird ass niggas. Shit. God damn. Chauncey was over there? Yeah, man. Yeah, Chris Paul came over that year, so the first year had to be one of those guards, Eric Bledsoe. These niggas is ass.